Okay. What's up, y'all? Welcome into today's epic planning call. If you guys have done this call with me before, shoot, I don't know how many years we've been doing this. Been doing this for probably 7 years, maybe plus. We've done these usually right around the new year, usually between Christmas and New Year's. And collectively, thousands and thousands of people have had a chance to dive in and plan their new year with me. So I'm honored. I'm pumped. I'm excited to be able to hop on here with you. And what I'd love to hear and see, guys, is can you guys pop in the comments box as you guys are piling in here? Pop in the comments box. Number one, your name, where you're calling in from, and what it is that you're wanting to change or go after or accomplish this next 12 months. I'd love to know your name, where you're calling in from, and what is it that you want to change, accomplish, or move towards in this next 12 months. And if you're not sure, this call is going to help you get closer to that. So if you're not exactly sure what you want to accomplish, you're in a rut maybe, and you can't even get up into thinking about goals or about vision, this call is going to be perfect for you. Okay. If you are firing on all cylinders, you want to amp it up even more, this call is going to be perfect for you. What's up, Scott? Good to see you, man. Fellow Oregonian. Heck yeah. So guys, pop in the comments boxes. You guys are coming in here. Who are you? Where are you calling in from? And what is it that you want to accomplish, you want to change, or you want to transform this next 12 months? Okay, pop in the comments box, guys. I would absolutely love to see as many names and proverbial faces as possible. Then we'll dig in. And today, guys, is a special day because, like I said before, this is something I've done for 7-8 years straight. Every year between Christmas and New Year's, we get to plan together. And on today's call, you're going to get some of my planning worksheets that I use myself and then I give my coaching clients. And also, you're going to be able to go through it and see me kind of reflect on my year. You're going to see me walking through how I reflect on my year. You're going to see me reflecting on my 3 biggest mindset shifts for the year. And this year was a wild year because if you guys were on last year's epic planning call, it was on the heels of my hero, my dad, passing away from brain cancer. He passed away at the end of November from brain cancer, about an 18-month battle. And a lot changed for me in that journey with my dad, in that journey with my mom. And then heading into 2025, I honestly wasn't sure on some key things. I wasn't sure how I wanted to leverage business, because when you see a person that you care about like that pass away, who had worked so hard to build an amazing business, and in that business ended up being sold for well into the millions. And you go, man, so what are we working for, right? What are we working for? What are we working in our businesses for? What are we working in our jobs for? Because at some point, all the money, all the top line revenue, all the ego falls away because it really doesn't matter. And so on today's epic planning call, what we're going to be talking about is what actually matters. What are the things that actually matter? And how do we make 2026 not just matter, but really transform the key areas of your life? All right, guys. Awesome, guys. I'm going to say welcome to all of y'all popping in here. If you guys are just now coming in here, let me know in the comments box your name, where you're calling in from. And if you know right now, what's the biggest thing that you want to change, transform, or move towards in 2026? What's up, Rom, Michigan? Close at least 1 deal per month. Amazing. I love it. I love it. And that's very specific, which I love. Looks like Tanya, Happy New Year from Columbus, Ohio. Last year helped so much. So looking forward to new distinctions. Yes, Tanya was on it last year. Scott, add 500K to my savings and investments. Love it. Scott, start hard money loan originating and build up consistent income through that. Dude, that's an amazing idea. That was one of my items for this year. And I've got $2 to $3 million on the streets. That makes a really, really healthy income. We can talk about that. Scott, text me, man. You got my number. What's up, Christopher? Good to see you, buddy. From Maryland. Improve acquisitions, build on online presence and authority, complete a wholesale and flip. Love it. Purpose to buy $1 million house cash within 2 years. Okay, eliminating distractions. I've got some stuff for you guys with that today. Steve from Maine. Grow a team, a flip per month, 2 listings a month, get an office, get my mobile home dealer license. Amazing. We've got a couple guys in our Epic program that are crushing it with mobile homes. Clay from Edmonton, Alberta. What's up, Clay? Good to see you. Get more consistent income, build more asset base, take more trips. There we go. Paul from Denver, close a deal every month or every couple months. We got Josh and Ann from Pennsylvania. Happy New Year's. Amazing. Excellent. Oh, Tony. I don't know why I said, okay, Tony and Angie. Tony, what's up, buddy? Good to see you. Christoph, amazing. So we're going to dive in, guys. Keep those coming in. I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to get going because if you guys have been on these epic planning calls, they're epic for many reasons. They're epic because I want you to make your year epic. That's the biggie. But they're epic also because they're going to be long. Like, how can we expect to get you clear on the next 365 days of your life in 30 minutes, right? So what I want you guys to do is carve out all distractions, put all distractions aside. If you've got your cell phone up, only thing I want you doing with your cell phone right now, y'all, is maybe taking a picture of a slide or two from this presentation that resonates with you, upload those to Instagram, tag me to it. That's all I want you doing on social, okay? I want you guys just fully focusing, because if you focus for the next 100 minutes or so, I can guarantee you that it's going to save you 100 plus hours in 2026, 100 plus hours of time wasted doing the wrong thing, 100 plus hours, probably thousands of hours of going in the wrong direction. I want to save you not just time, but I want to help you get more confidence as you step into 2026 to tackle this new year and make it the best year that you've hopefully ever had. All righty, guys. So the first thing that I want to dig into is I absolutely love quotes. So one thing you guys will see about me, if you're close to me, if you know me well, if you're in the Epic coaching group, it's the coaching group that I coach directly, personally. If you're around me, you know that I love quotes, because quotes tell a story, and story helps drive emotion, and emotion drives change. And Steve Jobs said this quote years and years ago, and I shared it last year. I'm going to share it again. Your time is limited, y'all. So don't waste time living someone else's life, right? A lot of you guys are popping in goals. Let's do a deal. Let's get to $200,000. Scott said, hey, let's buy the $1 million home. Those are all great goals. But even a guy like Steve Jobs, who was among the richest people in the world, those goals didn't save him in the end, right? Those goals don't make you more fulfilled. Those goals are milestones that lead towards something else. And we're going to talk about what that something else is today in the Epic Planning Call. So all those revenue goals, all those number goals, all those flip goals, all those goals you're putting down there, put them down there. Those are important things. But what if I had you guys walk away with nothing else from this Epic Planning Call, but one thing, one concept, is to reorder business and financial goals in your life to be in the right order, and they are not number one. Okay, one thing I say a lot to my Epic coaching clients is a question I'm going to be bringing up later in this presentation of, what did you hire your business to do for you? Or if you don't have a business, let's say you're an employee, what did you hire your job to do for you? And then the follow-up question I want you to think about over this next 90 minutes we're going to dive into is that business doing it for you? Okay, what did you hire your business to do for you? Is it doing it for you? Or did it hire you and you're along for the ride? You're burnt out. You're feeling like you're busy all the time. You feel like, man, I just can't get caught up. I can't catch up. If that's the case, I want to solve that today, or at least start to solve that. Okay, but the biggest thing I want everyone to realize and recognize is work is just one part of our life. It's one part, and it's a supporting part. It's not the main part, but I think we oftentimes treat it like the main part. Work is in support of three things: giving you work that interest and energize you. Your job should give you energy, and it should interest you more days than not. Number two, your work, your business should fund your vision. Okay? It should fund your vision, meaning we should have some level of clarity for the life that we want to have. I'm going to dive into the rest of Steve Jobs' quote here because it's related to that. And then we should build a business that funds that, not overfunds it, not underfunds it, but funds it. And the third thing that a business should do for us is give us impact that we're proud of. Allow us to do work that gives us an impact to other people that we're proud of. You notice nowhere in there does it say that work is for ego, that work is to stack up wins, that work is to stack up goals, that work is to stack up money. Work is not for any of that stuff. And if it is, you might feel a pit in your gut right now. You might feel that never-ending pit that you can never fill by hitting a bigger goal. And we're going to talk about how I've gone through that as well and how I've overcome that. And I want you to do the same. But let me read the rest of Steve Jobs' quote for you, okay? Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let noise of other people's opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and your intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. So I have a question I want you guys to reflect on, and I'd absolutely love full participation in the comments box. And that's the way, guys. If you want full results, if you want amazing transformation, it requires full participation on your part, not just today, but January 1st and November 31st next year, whatever it is. Every single day, it requires us to wake up and say, I choose to do. I choose to participate. I choose to step forward and take action towards where I want to go. So I have a question for you. I want you to reflect on the year really quick. And what are you most proud of that you want to celebrate? No matter how hard the year was. 2024 was a difficult year for me with my dad passing and some other challenges that popped up. But it was also one of the most fruitful and joyful years. It was this weird dichotomy in 2024. My hero, my dad, best friend passing away, other challenges. But it was one of the most fruitful and joyful years as well. And I'm going to tell you guys why. So what about 2025? 2025 had some real challenges too, but because of the mindset shift that I've made over the last 2 years to reorder business in the right spot as a supporting role, not the main, even through the challenges, there's so much joy. So what are you most proud of that you want to celebrate? Pop it in the comments box, y'all. And then next thing, if you have a chance to think about it, what do you want to do better in this next 12 months? We're going to bring that question back up here in a little bit, guys, but answer that question. What's up, Brian? Good to see you, buddy. What are you most proud of to celebrate for this last year? And then what do you want to do this next 12 months? Okay. So here's one right here. 2x our transaction numbers, 2022 and 2024, 47 in 2025. Heck yeah. Look at that. I love it. Good job, Annie. That's huge. That's huge. You doubled it. Okay. Right here, ChatGPT recognizes my website now thanks to the AI SEO challenge. I love it. So guys, Tony, what Tony's talking about is we do a challenge here every single month. It's the AI SEO challenge. Tony took it, I think, our first month. He got 90% of his score. He's now recognized by ChatGPT. He's being brought up by ChatGPT, and he looks forward to really growing those leads. Brian, what's up, buddy? Great to see you guys. Most proud of being able to change the lives of my team members. Heck yeah, man. I absolutely love it. So guys, keep on popping those through. Okay. And here's what we're really looking at doing is if we look at this is where we are right now, December 2025. And then over on the right side is where we're going. And we have 3 choices of where we're going, right? We have 3 choices of where we're going for the next 12 months. We can either drift off and slip backwards, down the red path. We can go down this path right here. We can drift off and slip backwards, which means you're stepping into vices very likely. You're stepping into distraction. There's someone who mentioned earlier, hey, I need to remove distraction. That's slipping off that's oftentimes slipping backwards into distraction, into vices, away from things that give us life and give us energy because we're trapped in indecision. I'm going to talk about what that is. Okay, the other option is the same old, which honestly, frankly, is the default for so many of us. Is we have desires, we have things that we want to do different in this new year, but we just end up doing the same old. We might say January 1st and in December 31st that we want to change something. We have this desire. The gyms fill up with people on January 1st and January 2nd, January 3rd. They have the desire, but then by February 1st, half the gyms are empty again. Like half the people left. It's because they slip back into the same old, and they're frustrated again, right? And if that's the case, you're going to be in the same darn spot December 2026. You guys want to be there? Pop in the comments box. If you want to be in a different spot on December 26th than you do today, just put different. Put in the word different if you want to be in a different spot in December 26th versus today. Now, it doesn't mean everything's different. Maybe there's a couple things that are different. Maybe it's you want to get in better shape. Maybe you want to hone in some things in the business. Maybe you want a better relationship with your spouse or your son or your daughter or your parents or friends. Right? Maybe you want to add more fun and joy to your life again in 2026. But you have to look at that and say, well, shoot, I don't want the same old. I want different. Okay. Or which is what this entire call is planning, is pushing towards, is we want to unlock the new potential. We want to help you rise upward this next year and get what I call above the line. And that's what I focus on in my Epic Coaching Group, is helping people get above the line if they're below and stay above the line if they're above. Okay, guys, so those are the 3 options. And I want you to really think about this, because you get a chance and a choice to make a decision to be one of these this year. This doesn't happen by chance. This happens by choice. This happens by decision. Okay. Staying in default and doing the same old is a decision to not change. Okay. Drifting off and slipping backwards is a decision to not get out of the vices. I'm going to talk about how to eliminate your vices here in a bit. Stepping into new potential is a decision to actually decide and to say, I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do this. I want to change these things. It's a decision. So I'm going to walk you through first something I call the 4 paths. And this sets the stage for everything else we're going to talk about in the entire rest of the presentation. Okay, guys, because so many of us want to have something different in our lives 12 months from now. And we're going to figure out what that different is and how to make it different and have a high degree of confidence to actually make that change happen. Okay, guys. So right here, this plays on those 4 paths that I put up above. Okay, over here, this is where you are now, and this is where we want to go on the right side. So how do we now move up towards rising upward to the new potential? And what does it mean when we have slipped backwards or in the same old? Well, over here where we're moving towards is something I call transformation. Okay, so this is where you fundamentally change something in your life. It changes and gets better, ideally. Okay, you transformed from one state to another state in that part of your life. And we're going to talk about how to know which parts to transform. And I call them the 6 F's. The 6 F's we're going to dive into. I've got a worksheet for you that you're going to be able to have and download and play along with me. But the 6 F's are the 6 buckets of life: faith, family, friends, fitness, finances, and fun. Okay, if you didn't get all 6 of those, no worries. I'm going to give you the worksheet. I'm going to go over those again here in a second. But we want to transform in 1 to 2 key parts of our life every year, ideally, to feel momentum. When we're not transforming and really moving towards that next version of ourselves in that part of our life is when we start to feel stuck and stagnant. So when we do that, though, when we step into transformation, and we truly do, every single person on this call has had transformations. Okay. Let me know in the comments box, guys, who in the past decade has had a physical or fitness transformation. Pop in the comments box, say physical or say fitness, if you've had a physical or fitness transformation in the last decade. The reason that happened is because of what I'm about to go through. Okay, who in this has had a faith transformation? Put faith in the comments box if any of you guys have had a faith transformation over the last decade. That happened because of what I'm about to walk you through. Who in here had a relationship transformation with family or with friends? Put family or friends if you had a relationship transformation. Okay, who in here had a financial transformation over the last decade at one point in time? Maybe right now you want another one, right? Maybe you want another financial transformation right now. But who had a financial transformation in some way, shape, or form over the last decade? Put financial. Okay, the way that we did that is once that transformation happened, you had some level of success, whatever you deem success is. That's a spot where we want to be. We want to usually be in success more often than not. Okay, so first transformation happens, then we're in success. You can't always be transforming in that thing every single day. Okay, the problem that happens here is eventually when we're in success, we slip into what I call default mode. Okay, eventually we slip into default mode. Default mode is at some point in time, I made that faith or I made that physical fitness transformation, that financial transformation, and I made some decisions that got me there. I changed some patterns. I changed some habits. I changed some disciplines. I changed some decisions I made. Okay, and then success happened from it. But then eventually that becomes your new normal. Okay, that becomes your new normal. And now you're in a new normal in your life and you start to stack up other desires, other goals, other things that you want to do. But now you're a little bit afraid to make decisions, okay? Because the thing that drives this transformation is, first of all, you have to have a design. You have to be clear on what you want. You have to have some level of a vision. You have to have clarity on what it is that you want out of that thing. Okay, so you didn't make that financial or faith or physical transformation without having some sort of vision of what change looked like on the other end of it, what transformation looked like on the other end of it. Then you had to make a decision or two to say, I'm now going to do this and not do this. You changed your calendar. You did some things differently. You got around a different friend group. You stepped into some decisions. Okay, those are the things that got you success. But then we stop making decisions. We start stacking up ideas. We start to be a little bit afraid of making decisions because we're comfortable where we are, and we think that if I change too many things, what's going to happen in my life? Now, here's the problem. When we stay in default mode for too long, y'all, we get into frustration oftentimes. Okay. We start to go, oh my gosh, I don't like the state that I'm in right now. And I keep on every single month or every single quarter or every single year or every single day, I keep saying I'm going to change this thing, and it's not changing. I can just keep doing the same things over and over again. I keep doing the same habits, the same patterns. I'm not doing the things I say that I want to do. Why is it that I seem to not be able to do these very simple things like wake up early or do whatever it is when I know how to do them? I say I want to do them. Why am I not doing them? Because we're stuck in default mode. And like I said, when we're stuck in default mode too long, we drift off into frustration. And then what happens over here, guys? Frustration too long, we drift. Where do we drift? We drift into our vices. Okay. Someone mentioned a little bit ago, man, I need help eliminating distraction. It's oftentimes because we made this innocuous little tumble below the line. At some point, we made a transformation. Then we were in success. We felt good. Then we got into default mode because we were kind of afraid of changing a little bit. We were too comfortable with that. And we stopped really making decisions and moving forward and improving ourselves in key areas. And then we got into frustration because things weren't changing for a while. And we wanted things to be different, but they weren't changing. And because we were in frustration for so long, our energy gets shot, right? Your energy starts to get shot because you're like, man, this isn't fun anymore. My work days or my work weeks, I look back and more days or more weeks are draining my energy than not. My relationship, maybe that relationship's draining you. You're in frustration. So if you're not getting the energy, you're not getting the joy on a daily basis because you're frustrated. Where do we go to get that? We drift off into our vices. Where do we do that? Well, it could be a substance, drugs or alcohol. I'm coaching one of my 8-figure clients right now, and he was drifting off into having a drink every day. Now, you look at that by itself, it's not a big deal. But when you're putting a substance inside of your body every single day to escape your normal life and to give yourself a momentary good feeling, here's what a vice is. It's something you escape too often to get a momentary reprieve from your current pain or your current dullness. Okay, it's something you escape too often to get a momentary reprieve or to dull or escape from your current reality. Okay. And so it's substance abuse. It could be pornography. It could be waking up late. There's a million different things. As long as you're doing it consistently, it's an escape from your current reality. It gives you a temporary reprieve, a temporary jolt of joy or energy. But then the last thing is a vice is something that if you do it enough, it's destructive. It's not constructive. So let me know, guys, below, if you are in drift or if you have a vice potentially that you're drifting off to daily. Put drift in the comments box if that is a spot that you're in. When we drift for too long, that leads to failure. That leads to failure. That leads to us hitting a spot where we're like, oh my gosh, I have no possible choice but to change now. I'm down so far. I'm frustrated. You might be depressed. I've got to change. If that's where you are, y'all, this is the perfect call for you to be on, because I've been in the same spot multiple times. I've coached tons and tons of people in the exact same spot, and I want you to know it's normal. Okay, it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. There is what I would say there is something wrong is to stay in it. Okay, it is wrong to stay in it. There's nothing wrong with to get in it because that's the human condition. So how do we get out of this? Do you guys want to know how to get back above the line if you feel stuck, if you feel stagnant, if you feel like you're frustrated and drifting off? Well, the first thing is we eliminate the vice. Okay, so I can tell you guys all day long how to plan out your year this next year and give you the perfect planning documents. I can do that. We're going to do that today. Okay. But if we do not eliminate the distraction, eliminate the vice, I can guarantee you're going to be in the same darn spot 12 months from now than you are today. And that was one of my mistakes, is every year I would pull out the planning document. I would get clear. I would feel like I'm excited. But the thing that was holding me back was I kept drifting off into a vice. I kept drifting off into things that wasted my time, zapped my brain power, and zapped my energy too often. It's that margin. It's that brain power. It's that thing that we need back so we can do number two. Once we eliminate the vice, number two, we can start to get clear. I was coaching one of my 8-figure clients as well. He was in a spot where he couldn't get clear. He was wrapped around this vice right here, his phone. His phone was zapping every spare moment between phone calls with family. He'd have his phone pulled up and it was zapping his creativity, zapping his energy. And he didn't recognize that that's what it was. I said, dude, we got to eliminate the vice. Once you do that, within 2 weeks, you're going to get clarity back in your mind. So you can actually get excited about a new design, a new vision. He did. Within 2 weeks. He started coming to me with excitement again, with clarity again, with the new vision. He's like, dude, I've hired 3 coaches over the past 5 years, and they've all tried to help eliminate this, and you're the first one to do it. So he was able to get clear again. We then design a vision that we're excited about. Then what do we do next, guys? We make decisions. And on this call, I want you guys to start to move towards making some more decisions. Okay. Once we do that, number 1, eliminate the vice. Number 2, get clarity on where we want to go. Number 3, make decisions on what we're going to do. And I'm going to give you guys some frameworks there. That's where we start to get momentum. All right, guys, this makes sense, y'all? Pop in the comments box if this makes sense, if it resonates, if it's something that you want to learn how to do in the comments box. Just put yes if it resonates, if you want to learn how to do it. You guys are talking about phone distractions. Guys, I'm going to show you how to solve that phone distraction once and for all on today's call towards the end, okay? So let me kind of read you a couple things. This is what pumps me up the most, right? I am the owner of a software company. I'm a coach, private lender, all those things. Those are things I do. But who I am is a person who encourages. Who I am at my core, my God-given, I feel my God-given gifts is like the great encourager. I want to encourage people. I want to encourage more people to go out there and unleash what is already inside of you, but there's things holding you back. And when I get text messages like this is what pumps me up. And this is what I want to have you guys DMing me on Facebook, DMing me on Instagram. When you come away from this call in a week or 2 weeks or a month, I want you to tell me what impact it's had on you and what you've changed. So this is a text message I got from a client a couple months ago. It says, so September was one of our best months ever. We crushed it, closed 6 deals, and actually had a profitable Q3. They were unprofitable earlier in the year. Super happy, taking the bet with the office. It was 1,000% the right move. He needed to get out of his home into an office with this team. I hired and currently ramping up an amazing guy in acquisitions, doing phenomenal. Most importantly, my energy and health are at an all-time high. And that's what matters, y'all. Okay, I just feel really good and blessed by God's work in my family and business the past few months. Business, family, faith are all aligned. That is what it's about for me. Right, here's another one. Trevor, truly appreciate you reaching out. This past month and change has been nothing but amazing. Just reflecting back, and it's crazy. I've had like 5 things on my vision board achieved in such a short period of time, not just financial. So it's been a blessing. The mid-session, which is an event that I do with my coaching clients, the mid-session vision coach was gold. I took out time limits on some of my goals, and things just magically appeared. Let me show you guys one more. And the reason I'm showing you these is to honestly inspire you to what can happen when you make the changes I'm going to be teaching on today's call. Okay, this is another one that I got that I was so pumped about from a client named Wyatt. Realizing that success and quality of life are not mutually exclusive has been my most helpful part of Epic for me, which is the coaching program I run so far. He said, I used to think that I could be successful, but I'd have to give up all my time, or I could be successful, but I'd have to compromise my morals. But after being around you and the people that you've connected us with, I realize now that I just have to learn new skills and adjust my identity each time I want to reach a new level of success. I have more energy because I'm not doing as many of the tasks in the business that burn me out. I'm making way more money because I was able to upgrade my identity and stop some of the things that he was needing to stop. Guys, the story with Wyatt, when he started coming to work with me, he was frustrated. He wasn't delegating well. They were doing about $400,000 a year. 2.5 years later now, guys, they're doing over $1.5 million a year. They're almost netting. They're going to do over $2 million this year. They're almost netting $1 million profit now. He has a small team. He picked up hobbies. He does country line dancing. He travels around the country line dancing with people now. And it's absolutely amazing. That's what I want to see you guys unlock and unleash this next 12 months, right? So you have 2 choices, y'all. You have 2 choices. You can make a living or you can design a life, like I talked about. And Jim Rohn's one of my favorite guys. Jim said, the greatest step towards success is self-confidence. The greatest builder of self-confidence is self-esteem. And self-esteem comes from doing the daily things you know you should do. Right? Your self-esteem will start to soar when you make some critical decisions to walk a new road, to start a new direction, to start a new discipline. And so when we talked about the 4 paths above, it relates directly to what Jim Rohn's talking about. Okay. We want to build your confidence first. And that starts with little decisions on the daily basis, just getting some of those things right. If you're in drift mode, like many of y'all are, and like I said, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's just where you are right now. And we get a chance to get you out of it, right? So if you're in drift mode right now and you're drifting off into your vices, it's just behind some decisions. And I'm going to help you guys make those decisions. But the biggest reason we stay in drift is because we get frustrated and our self-esteem gets nailed every single time we step into that vice. Every single time that vice gets us, our confidence gets hit. Every single time we have something that we don't fulfill on that we say that we want to do. You don't show up to that workout. You don't do that thing that you said you're going to do in business. You don't follow through on that thing with your spouse. Every single time we do that, it knocks our confidence down. When our confidence gets knocked down, we stop making decisions. And that's what keeps us in default mode, guys. So that's a journey that we're going to go on. And the way that I like to plan and how we're going to do this is we always do the life side first and then the business side second, because the business fuels the life. If you almost look at vision and planning like this, like you've got this eyeball right here, and that's you. That's where you're looking. I want you to picture this is how it works. This is the order by which you do planning. This is the order by which you cast vision. What a lot of people do is they start with business. They completely avoid getting clear on the life side of things. They start with business. They create a strategy. They create some goals, and they don't do any of this stuff here, which is actually the most important stuff. And then they wonder why they built a business they don't enjoy. They wonder why they're not hitting the goals. They wonder why. It's like, man, I just don't want to work. I don't want to work right now. I don't want to work hard. I just want to go relax. If you're in that spot, it's very likely because the business isn't serving you. Your business should serve your life vision. Your life shouldn't serve your business. Okay. So if you're in a spot where you can't get excited about work, you can't get excited about the business that you created, it's very likely because you're serving the business isn't serving you. So we're going to show you guys how to flip that around. So you're at the right place, y'all. If you keep chasing the next goal or achievement, but you find it never brings lasting joy or fulfillment, and you know there's got to be more to life. Okay, I was working with a coaching client 2 days ago. They have a big business, $8+ million a year in their business, and their CEO wants to move it to 12. And I was talking to their COO of the company and said, "Hey, cool, how do you feel about that?" And he goes, "Man, well, here's the deal. The CEO moved the goal up to that, but our net profit is shrinking." And he said, "It feels like a lot of work for a little bit of profit." I go, "Okay, cool. So why does that matter to you?" Well, at the end of the day, the CEO was going after the mindset of if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Guys, pop in the comments box, put growing or dying. Who in here adopts that mindset that if you're not growing or dying, or if you're not growing, you're dying? Okay. That mindset, I feel, can be really damaging because oftentimes we think growth is only one thing. It's top line revenue. If you're not growing your top line, you're dying. That's not the case. I would much rather have an $8 million business that profits 40% than a $12 million business that profits 15. Much rather. Okay. So if I'm growing top line, but my bottom line is getting compressed, that's a harder business. It's less impact. It's more work. It's more stress. It's more ego. Because, man, I can be the $12 million business guy. And I've been there, guys. I've been there. Okay. I've been there where I chased big numbers because of ego, not because that they actually supplied the life that I wanted. Okay. So if you're adopting that mindset that if you're not growing, you're dying, the question is, what is it that's most important that you grow in this next year? Maybe it's your faith. Maybe it's your family relationships. Maybe it's your bottom line, not your top line. We're going to figure out what is it that you actually need to grow this year and transform. Okay. Maybe you're marked with what I call anxious striving. You're always growing top line, but you're not really, like I said, it's growth with no end in sight, or you feel like you're working your butt off, but not getting closer to your ultimate goals. Your goals keep shifting. Every year you have the same goals. Maybe you set them, you reset them, and you've thought maybe I should just lower these things. Maybe I should aim a little bit lower, or maybe I'm just not made out for this. Maybe it's just too hard for me. Who's in that camp where you're just kind of beat down a little bit after a couple of years of not hitting some goals that you want, and you're just like, man, maybe I just need to pull back and settle. Put the word settle in there if that's where your mindset is right now. If you're like, I'm just kind of settling too much. Okay. Maybe you want a better system for setting and achieving goals that sets you up for success in the new year. I'm going to help you with that today. And if you dip into the entrepreneur funk, but you don't know how to get out, put in the word funk in there. If you're like, man, I'm in a funk right now. I'm in the word entrepreneur. I'm in the funk. Okay. If you dip into the entrepreneur funk, but you don't know how to get out. You lack clarity and confidence hits. You can't get out. I'm going to help you guys today. Okay, maybe you've been grinding for months or years and things don't seem to be breaking through. Put the word grind in there. I'm grinding if this is you. Okay, maybe you start each day feeling overwhelmed at everything you have to do and the little time you have to do it. Put the word overwhelmed in if this is you. Okay, and maybe you keep hitting up against the wall and you can't crack through to reach your goals. Put in the word wall if that's you're like, man, I just can't get through this wall. No matter how hard I try, how hard I work, it's just not happening. Okay. Well, I want you guys to, and the last one, maybe you want to find ways to create more happiness and joy in life and business, and you feel like it's elusive. Put the word joy in there if that's you. Okay, guys. So, who in here is this your first time being exposed to me? If so, put in the comments box first time. But my name is Trevor. First of all, I'm a husband. I'm a father of three. I'm a man of God, founder of a company called Carrot.com, 5-time Inc. 5,000 winner, 2-time most 10 most philanthropic small businesses in the state of Oregon. I have an amazing team. We do some cool things in our buildings downtown. But what I'm really passionate about is encouraging and amplifying leaders like yourself to make your greatest impact. And that's the only reason I do this call every year. And 1 year is about 7 or 8 years ago. I was sitting across the street at this coffee shop here in Little Roseburg, Oregon, where I live. And I was a little bit frustrated because some things weren't going the way that I wanted them to go in my business. But I had a lot of success up to that point. And so I sat down and said, okay, I need to get more clear on what business is for me. I want to get more clear on what business is for me. Okay. Because at that time, business was honestly, if I were to really pull back and be honest with myself, it was ego, right? I wanted to prove some people wrong. I wanted to be able to walk into a room and have people say, oh man, that's a successful entrepreneur guy, right? There's a lot of ego attached to it. I think there's a lot of fear attached to certain things. I wanted to grow my business and make so much money that I didn't have to worry about money. When we grew up as a young child, I remember my dad lost his job a couple times, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I remember driving around when I was probably 8 to 10 years old, and there was this place called Smo's in Klamath Falls, Oregon, that made caramel Cokes. If any of you guys are old enough to have caramel Cokes from back in the day, and Smo's had these amazing caramel Cokes. I wanted a caramel Coke one day, and my mom's like, Trevor, we can't get one today, but we could probably get one next month. And I said, well, why? And she said, well, Dad lost his job, and we don't really have much money. We're just kind of scraping by. And I remember I had a couple $100s in my bank account, just stacked up all my birthday and Christmas money for the years. And I remember vividly sitting in the car and telling my mom, I said, Mom, hey, I have money in my bank account. You and Dad can have it. Like, you guys go have it and have it for the family. I'm like starting to choke up. And I remember that next year seeing my mom and dad start businesses out of our basement and grind through and just do everything they could to put food on the table and support us kids. We didn't feel poor, but looking back, we didn't have any resources or money. What we had was belief. We had love. And man, my dad, my mom worked their butts off. And so I had some fear in my early entrepreneur journey that I didn't want to have that happen. Okay. And so when I sat down at the coffee shop and asked, why does business exist for me? It shouldn't exist for any of those reasons. Those are empty reasons. Those are heavy reasons. When we build businesses based off of ego or fear or caring about what other people think, that's a heavy feeling. That's not freeing. That's not fun. What is freeing and fun for me is a business of freedom and impact, right? It's a business that allows you to have freedom to do the things that you want to do and freedom from the things that are holding you back and to allow you to make an impact. And when I sat there at the coffee shop and wrote down what are the things that will give me freedom and impact in a business, I came up with what I call my entrepreneur freedom formula back in this. So this is probably 2017, 2018. And I made this for myself. I said, I need to better understand what business is for me because I had a vision where I wanted to be a part of multiple businesses and coach business leaders and have an ecosystem of amazing businesses making a major impact in the world. I needed to have a code and codify how to do that so I can hand this off to the other business owners I was working with. First of all, you need to have purpose. There needs to be some sort of vision that we're going after and a purpose that matters and an impact that matters to you. Okay. The next thing, we need to have consistent profits. We need to have a business that actually cranks out consistent profits. Okay. If our business doesn't crank out consistent profits, it's really, really hard to buy back our time and get our freedom. It's really hard to make the greatest impact. Right. And then the third thing was energy and time. If we have purpose and we have consistent profits, but man, we have no time to enjoy it, we're grinding away. That is literally the definition of the hustle and grind. You have impactful work and a consistent income, but your business owns you, right? So what we start to do is we start here and you go clockwise in this order around the entrepreneur freedom formula. You first create a vision, then you have a strategy, and then you make some things happen with marketing and sales, and you add leverage. I'm going to talk about leverage today on how you can add leverage in 2026. And then we're making money, but we're out of time. And now it's like, oh, shoot, I got to get my time and energy back. So we got to learn how to delegate things effectively. And I've got process for each one of these. And then we've done that. We got our time back and we say, well, shoot, what's next? Right? What's next now? I've got consistent money coming in. I delegate a lot of things. What's next? Well, now we need to go through and upgrade our identity because our vision will never outgrow our identity. Our business will never outgrow your identity. So in order for the business to grow, our vision's got to grow. In order for the vision to grow, your identity's got to grow. So our identity grows. We root in impact. Bam, vision magically grows, and we hit the next cycle. And guys, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. You can take a screenshot of this or get the slides. But I broke this down with my coaching clients over the last 3 years as I was working with people at the $300,000 level, at the $12 million level, and discovering this circle is the same for every one of the businesses at every level. But the difference is you delegate different things at $300,000 versus 10 million, right? You step into different identity walls at 300,000 versus 10 million. And so if you guys want to learn how to grow through the revenue level that you're in, this is the roadmap for it. We don't have time to go through this, but I have a bunch of YouTube videos that walk you through every single one of these levels. So if you want to break through the levels in my Epic program, if you're 300K or above, that's where I help you. If you're not quite there yet, Carrot, we're going to help you get there with our marketing and our tools. Okay. But one of the biggest things, guys, is that every single one of these revenue levels, we hit what I call pain lines. Okay. If you're stuck at 100,000, 300,000, your pain line is time management. Is you're like, man, you probably still have a full-time job or a part-time job and you're trying to make this new thing work. And you're just going, how do I have the time to get all this done? So you've got to change the way you treat your calendar. You got to change the way you treat your commitments. You've got to change your disciplines to manage your time more effectively. Okay. If you're just now getting going and you're like, man, I'm not even making 100K a year yet. It's a mindset issue. Okay. We need to show you how to adjust your mindset to really step into no plan B and flipping that risk profile so you're fully committed to making it happen. But if you're here in this box, which many of you probably are, and you're in that 300K to $1 million box, delegation is very likely the thing that's going to hold you back from staying over $1 million. It's going to pull you back if you can't master delegation, accomplishing tasks through other people. Okay. Then the last thing here, identity. Your identity has to morph and shift as you grow your business. Not meaning you step into a new identity. You've got to peel back the limiting beliefs and the layers that are holding you back from the person that's already inside of you, the leader that's already there. Okay, the identity to get to your first 100K, you got to be a dreamer. You've got to be a dreamer. You can't have a dream. You can't get to 100K and take the leap of faith that's required if you don't have a dream that you're committed to. Okay, but let's say getting over 300K, to get from 300K to $1 million, you've got to be a performer. You've got to get really good at a couple things, really good at marketing, really good at acquisitions, really good at sales, whatever it is, really good at product. You got to get really good at 1, 2, 3 things and do them over and over and over and over and over and over and over again to get from 300K to $1 million. But the problem is, and here's where I'll stop on this, is that very identity, every single time, that very identity that you had to step into to get to that previous phase is the very identity that's going to hold you back at the next phase. Okay. You've got to shed that as your primary identity and step into new skill sets and a new layer, a new level of your identity. To get over $1 million to 3, you've got to shed the performer identity. No longer can you be the one that does all the work that drives things forward fully. And you've got to now build. Okay, guys. So the reason I'm showing this to you is because as you want to step into those new goals, you've got to grow first internally. Okay. You've got to grow first internally. When I focus on growth, one of mine is getting around the right people out here in Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. I've got my gym. I've got my 5 best friends I've collected over the years that meet up with me Monday, Wednesday, Friday with my coach, and we work out, we pray, we have amazing fellowship. Those guys help me grow. I've got my team at Carrot here. They challenge me. I challenge them. They help me grow. I want to help you guys grow in 2026. So I do have some gifts for you guys. They're on the live view page. There's the annual workbook and then the slide deck for this. Okay, guys. So I want you to go grab those and get that there. So actually, there's this here, the end of the year annual planning call. What this is every year for my one-on-one coaching clients, my small group coaching clients, I create a workbook. It's a 50-something page workbook. This is this year's right here. And it has everything in it from the annual planning to the quarterly planning, everything in it that our team members use on the personal and business side, or our coaching clients do. So I've consolidated in a handful of some of my best resources out of that workbook that my $12,000 and $80,000 coaching clients use, and you guys are going to get them today. So go check those out. Okay, if you are doing $250,000 or more in revenue and you want to get unstuck, scan that QR code or go to carrot.com/epic. I'm taking on a few clients over this next quarter into my program, which is usually shut. I'm going to talk about that more later today, but that's not what we're going into. Okay, guys, we're going to review my year, 3 biggest lessons, and we're going to start planning together. So I think it's really important that before we pick up the planning documents and start to do the work, which that'll be about the last half hour of this session, I want to set some context and perspective, because I think if I share some of my lessons that I have learned this past year, hopefully those lessons can give you a shortcut in 2026. Okay. The first 40 minutes of this call is mindset, inspiration, setting your mind in the right direction and showing you the path, the 4 paths to show you why we get below the line and how to get above. The whole rest of the call is going to be based on those steps. And then the next part was the entrepreneur freedom formula. How do we actually run the business to make it a successful business that serves us, not us serving it? Okay. So now I'm going to kind of set some perspective on what I learned this year. Then we're going to dive in and do some of the work. So if you're on last year's Epic Planning call, like I said, it was about a month after my dad had passed of brain cancer. And this picture was taken probably a week and a half to 2 weeks before he passed. Me and my brothers, my younger brothers on the right side of that picture, Kyle, he lives in Nashville, Tennessee. That's me on the left. That's my dad in the middle. My older brother wasn't here on that day, but the 3 of us moved in with my parents that last month of his life. And they live a few hours away. So I was away from my family for the most part of that month. And it was hard. It was special, but it really gave me a lot of perspective. Because when you see a hero of yours, a person who just seems like they're indestructible, he was literally always the strongest man in the room, like the strongest physical, but he was always so encouraging. And to have this come out of left field where he was planning for retirement and they literally just bought their dream RV, their dream motorhome, and they went on their first trip. And he came back from that first trip, and it was 15 minutes after he got out of the driver's seat. He had a headache. He fell down and had a seizure. They rushed him to the hospital and discovered 2 tumors in his brain. And we got the worst possible diagnosis of glioblastoma, one of the most deadly cancers out there. And he was given 6 months to live. And thankfully, we had 18 amazing months with him. But in these moments here where I'm just laying down, my dad's laying down, my brother's laying down, we're just soaking up the sun. We're just quiet. We're with each other. It gives a lot of perspective on what actually matters. And so before we start to plan out a busy 2026, which is what I don't want you to do, I want us to make sure that our 2026 is intentional in the right areas first. Because I can guarantee you in that moment that I'm laying there with my dad, work was one of the farthest things from my mind. Okay, work was definitely nowhere in my dad's mind. Okay, it was just the things that actually mattered. And so we have to reorder work in our lives this next year. And if you really look at like a 90-year human life in months, this is turning 90 down here. This is the 30th birthday here. So 60th here. So kind of plot where on this that you are, right? So for me, if I were to kind of shade these, all of those months I've lived, okay, then I'm not going to do all these, but I'm 42. I'm making this up. I'm probably somewhere around here, right? I don't know. I guess, am I 42? I might be 43. I think I'm 43. So if you look at this, I'm probably somewhere around there. And so you really look at this as perspective. So amazing, deep working years. I don't know. I've probably got in here somewhere. Who knows, right? But there's certain years that are better for certain things. So I'm in probably a period of time where the next decade is my last real decade of just peak physical fitness. right? Because when you're in your 70s and your 80s, not that you can't be physically fit, but you're not going to be as physically able as you were in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and early 50s. So what are the things that we need to be doing in 2026 while we have the chance to right now, while we have the health, while we have the energy, while we have the time? Okay, my kids, my oldest is 15, my youngest is 11. My oldest is going to be out of the house in 3 years, which is insane. It's bonkers. That means I've got 3 summers with her in my house as a teenager. 3 summers, y'all. 3 summers. That's one of the reasons we invested big time into finishing a big pool and a deck and everything at our house is finishing up here this next couple of weeks, because we're like, we want these next 3, 5, 6, 7 summers with my kids in the house to be the best summers ever, and have our house be the place where all the kids get together, where we can have fellowship. But I want you thinking about that. Okay, look at this. We're not going to be here forever. And we really were reminded of that with my dad this last year. You know, when we recognize that we don't have all the time in the world, we see our priorities most clearly. Okay. And one thing I want to give you permission on, because one thing that holds us back is we go, well, shoot, yeah, I want to change these things, but what are people going to think about me when I make these changes? And I've thought about that. Let me know in the comments box if any of you guys have ever thought what I'm about to tell you. Okay. I've literally thought over the years, a lot less the last 3 years, but I would say for sure 10 years ago, 20 years ago, I would go, man, it'd be like really refreshing if I could just move somewhere that nobody knows who I am. And I can just start being the person that I want to be, because I'm not held back by the person I've been to the people around me. Because if I start being the person I want to be, the person that is actually me inside, around the people that know the old me or the fake me, what are they going to think? They're going to go, who is this new Trevor? Like, who's this new Trevor? Right? And I was afraid to step into that. Let me know in the comments box if you have ever thought that. Just put new me in the comments box if you've ever been like, man, yeah, I would like to let the real me out. And it might be refreshing to move where no one knows who I am, so I can start over. Well, guys, I want to give you guys the permission. You don't have to move somewhere else to do that. I want to give you the permission. You can start over right now and be the actual you. The future rewards are always there waiting for us. As certainly as we once dreamed, we can dream again. As surely as we once believed, we can believe again. No matter where we are right now, we still have the ability to change it all. Right? The journey towards success is a journey of 1,000 steps. It begins with just a single book, a single webinar like this, a single promise finally kept. It begins with the awakening of our sleeping spirit, brought on by the dreams of all that could be. Any day we choose, we can stand up and take the first step on a journey that can lead us to a new and better way of life. We must not expect the results merely because we've begun the activity, but with continued effort and certain steps will surely come our future rewards. Guys, I want to give you permission today to step in and make a choice to be the actual you. Okay, to be the actual you, because you are what's going to make your life and the people around you special. So here's a quick review of mine for 2025. So one thing that I do every year, and this is something I would encourage you guys to do, okay, whether you use an iPhone or whether you use an Android, is I have a note right here. I'm pulling it up on my phone. I've got a note. And I started doing this a few years back, okay? And I actually have some fancy automations I have, and I taught my Epic coaching clients how to do it. Twice a day, I have my phone run an automation through the Shortcuts app that brings up this note, the one I'm showing you on the screen. Okay, and I bring it up twice a day in the spots where I'm usually likely to be distracted or likely to step into a vice, likely to be distracted on my phone. Okay, I do it in the morning at a certain time, right around 6:30 to 7. Okay, when I would normally be maybe feeling the urge to be distracted on my phone versus reading the Bible. And then I do it around 9 o'clock at night, where I would feel the distraction and pull up my phone and just doom scroll. Okay, so it comes up. And I look at this a couple times a day to reset me on what I set out to do and who I set out to be in 2025. And when I started doing this, it changed the dynamic for me. Okay, so here were some of my 2025 intentions and goals. The first thing at the top is I put, this is a year of growth, godliness, and self-control. So I want you to think about what can those themes be for you in 2026. Write down some things right now on a piece of paper or on your computer. Start to put some words in there. What are some words that might define your 2026 for you? Because we can't start to set goals and start to set business goals and get you that one deal a month unless we do this first. Because maybe a one deal a month is not what's going to get you where you want to go. Maybe that's what the world's telling you that you want. Okay, I'm going to help you guys get there. The next thing I put on there at the start of this year is I was very distracted. Okay. In that season with my dad, I was sitting with him a lot. I was honestly challenged mentally a lot because of what my dad was going through. And I let myself get into distraction on my phone. Okay, I had a major vice of my phone at the mid and end of 2024, and it was zapping my creative energy. It was zapping even my joy to go out there and build business at that time. Okay, so I heard this quote from a friend of mine, Dan Martell, and he said, "You're not easily distracted. Distracted comes when your life just isn't interesting enough." Because I was saying, dude, I'm just so easily distracted. I can't get focused. Right? If that's something that you guys are saying, I just can't get focused. It's not that you can't get focused. It's not that you're not easily distracted. Distraction comes when your life just isn't interesting enough. I want to challenge you guys with this question. How many of you guys remember the last time you were insanely focused and pumped up about what you're about to do? Okay. Let's say you were going on a fly fishing trip and you were on that fly fishing trip. How often were you pulling up your phone, getting distracted? How often were you getting drunk? How often were you pulling up porn? Whatever that drift was for you. How often were you doing that when you were on that fly fishing trip that was pumping you up? Or let's say that you're doing something else that you enjoy to do, or you're with a person that you enjoy to be with, or you're doing something really fun and exciting. Were you pulling into distraction? The likelihood of that is probably no. You probably weren't pulling into distraction because it was interesting. It was fun. We only pull into distraction when we are not making our day and our week fun and joyful. So I'm going to talk about that here a bit. Okay. So if you're thinking I can't get focused, I'm easily distracted. You are not. It's just, you're not intentionally making your day interesting enough. Okay. So next thing, identity statement. This was my identity statement for 2025. I would encourage you to think up what your identity statement is, because your identity is the thing that drives your business. Your business will never outgrow your identity. So we have to ask, who am I? Who do I want to be in 12 months from now? Okay. And I was praying over this earlier this year. And what I kept rooting my identity in 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago, and I'm talking about this here in a second, was my achievements. I'm a successful business person. I'm a successful entrepreneur. All these success achievement things. And I'm going to tell you why that is the complete wrong things to root your identity in. And I started asking the question, what is the identity that I am at my core that I can be in every part of my life? As a husband, as a father, as a leader in business, as a person at my church, as a son, as a brother. What is my core identity that I am in every situation of my life? And I read some books and read some scripture and prayed over it. And I was like, man, this is what came out. I asked friends for advice. And this kept coming up. Man, you're so encouraging. Like, being around you is encouraging. You're a person who inspires me to do more, to do better. And so I started playing with that a little bit. And I wrote down what came to me. I'm the great encourager and leader for Christ. Daily, I make every effort to increase my faith, my knowledge, self-control, perseverance, godliness, and love. And I looked at that and go, man, if that's my every day, every single day I work to increase my faith, my knowledge, so I'm going to be learning things, self-control, so staying away from the things that are going to be destructive, perseverance, sticking through the hard times, godliness, moving towards you be more Christ-like, and then love. If I just love more every day, if I look at the people right around me and just love more instead of being fear, instead of being an ego, what will that life look like? Okay. And I stepped more and more into that this next year, and it was transformational in 2025. And every year I pick a scripture. If you're a believer, that's a great tool. I would say 10 years ago, I picked quotes. I didn't pick scriptures. So maybe you're a quote person, and I've done that as well. But I like to pick something that is the scripture or the quote for the year. And then I put my 5 non-negotiables in place. And I've got a worksheet for you guys to do your non-negotiables today. Okay, what are non-negotiables? Non-negotiables are the things that literally support your identity statement. It's what are the things that are going to shape who I am that I do on a daily basis. Well, in order to gain knowledge and to grow my faith, I'm going to need to be learning. So I read 10 pages every day. Okay, that's one of my non-negotiables. Read 10 pages every day. Read scripture. Read 10 pages every day. Okay, another thing that I want to be able to do, to be able to encourage and to be able to put things out there, I want to share my knowledge, and I want to encourage. I want to write daily. That's one that I would say I'd give myself a C+ on. I did great on it the first half of the year, not great on it the back half of the year. Okay, so that's something I want to step into better this next day. I'll sweat daily. I want energy every day. So I sweat every single day, work out every single day. The question I talk with my coaching clients about when they're kind of debating on, well, do I work out 2 days a week or 3 days a week? I go, well, how many days a week do you want energy? Right? How many days a week do you want energy? How many days a week do you want to be more mentally clear? Well, every day. Awesome. So if you want to be more mentally clear and better energy every day, you should probably do the things that give you more energy and more mental clarity every day then, like working out, like reading, like pulling away and having quiet time. Okay. I want to visualize my goals daily. That's where this app pops up and I read what you're seeing twice a day. And I want to engage with people 5 times a day, meaning send out text messages of encouragement, DMs, phone calls to really be that encourager. Okay. So those are my daily non-negotiables. If all that I do every day is I read 10 pages a day and something that's interesting that fuels me, I write and put something out every single day. I sweat every day to get energy and clarity. I visualize my goals to recenter me, and I reach out to 5 people a day to encourage or to whatever. And you can tie those in with your business goals. If all that I do is that every day, that is an amazing life. I'm moving forward. I'm driving forward, and I'm living in the identity that God gave me. Okay, one of the challenges that we all have is we don't have non-negotiables that we actually stick to that shape who we are. Okay, so this last year, guys, with faith, family, fitness, friends, finances, and fun, it was an amazing year. There were some hard things, there were some challenging things, but an absolutely amazing year. So what I want you to do is, this helps me. I do this every year. Is I'll start to just go through my phone and look at pictures. Okay. I'll flip through my phone and look at pictures. And this morning, right before this call, I was just going through my phone, looking at some pictures. I chose a handful of pictures on here. And I love looking at the pictures because, at least for me, I take a lot of pictures. It's a snapshot of my year. It's any of the trips that I went on. It's my family. It's my friends. It's learnings and things that I learned. I take screenshots of things I found on social that I resonated with. It's my son and my daughter's sheep showing. It's a bunch of things that remind me of what I had a chance to experience that year. And it gives me a lot of gratitude whenever I do that. So that might be a fun thing for you to do today. But these were some of the things. We're wrapping up an amazing deck, porch, swimming pool. The swimming pool's over here on this side. This is overlooking the view of our river. It's just my niece and my kids just playing. I took a picture of it because I'm like, I remember, and she's in college now. I remember them playing when she was 6 years old and 7, 8, 9, and these kids were babies. And I was like, this is so cool that their relationship is still really strong and they love hanging out, even though she's in college and they're much younger. This down here was an annual trip that I work on doing with my buddies, where we get up into nature for 3 days a year. We get up into wilderness, away from everything, away from distraction. We're catching fish in the lake and cooking up the fish. We're packing in 20 miles. This is just something that gives me so much joy with that group of guys and sons. My kids are teenagers now. It's crazy. This little dude, he's turning into a little man now. His voice is changing. He grew 8 inches this last year. Our daughter is driving now, which is insane. Our little one is just as bundle of energy as ever. I took my Epic group on a fly fishing trip and shooting, and took them to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, all kinds of things. I've got just amazing core of friends and faith and fitness. And it's just something that gives me so much gratitude. I've got my wife, who is my supporter, is my everything, right there in the middle. It's amazing. So that's a little reflection for me. And like I mentioned, this year is on the heels of a really, really hard year of 2024. So what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to be transparent with you. You guys do have a worksheet. I'd encourage you to go download the worksheets right now, print them off, or put them on your iPad, or grab a piece of paper. But what we can do is, this is my 6F's life audit from 2024 for 2025. Okay, so I actually did this on January 1st, 2025. And you can see where some of my scores were. This was a month after my dad had passed. It was a really hard 6 months. My faith had grown a lot. I'm talking like I started reading scripture every single day with my dad that last couple months of his life. And I carried that forward. And I said, you know what? I realized that business is not the most important. Business is just the vehicle to make impact and to fund the vision and to give me work that energizes and interests me. That's it. That's all. because seeing my dad pass away with millions of dollars in the bank, you start to see how much that actually matters, which is not very much. Not very much at all, y'all. Okay. Not much at all. What mattered was all the people that came to the funeral, all the people that would come to him in the months before, would just tell him how much his life mattered to them, how he treated them mattered to them, how much he was encouraging to them, how much he inspired them. That's the stuff that mattered. No one came up and shook his hand and said, "Congratulations, Harry, for building this amazing business and making millions." No one that I saw congratulated him on that. That's not what mattered. It was the relationships, the friendships, the difference he made, the people he touched. Guys, that's what mattered. His faith for the Lord, that's what mattered. Okay, Scott says, where was that backpacking trip? That was up outside of Odell Lake. We did this big loop. It was a 26-mile loop up outside of Odell Lake. It was amazing. So, guys, mine was a 3 on there. I put in here, reflect, grew as a family spiritual leader, deepened my understanding of Scripture, talk more openly about my faith. But I wanted to really build a deeper relationship with the Lord, daily prayer, you be baptized. And this is one of the most transformational years of my life. I would say this is a 4 to 5 now. It was an absolutely amazing year from the faith perspective. Family, this is a solid 4 to 5, amazing relationships still. We did some amazing things as a family. Down here into the fitness side, I kind of let some things slide in that last 6 months because I had let myself get down a bit with my dad's situation, and I wasn't eating as healthy. Just that the situation I was in, there's a lot of unhealthy food around me, and I was taking the bait literally, and I also wasn't working out very much. So I put a 2 there. I would say I progressed a bit, 3 to 4 this year, but nowhere where I want to be. Okay, friends, I would say I'm solid 4+ this year. I really doubled down after seeing the relationships my dad had built and how much that mattered versus business. I go, I'm going to double down on friends and friendships this year and have more opportunities for friends. I've got my Thursday morning cold plunge with the buddies at the river and sauna. I've got my Monday, Wednesday, Friday workouts in the office with 4 or 5 of my best friends. I've got my Bible studies now with Jeremy Scholar in my Epic group on Thursday mornings. And I've got my Wednesday morning Bible study with my guys from my church who are absolutely amazing. And we get together, our church community group, every other week on Sundays. I have hang time with my buddies where we get to go out and do things. My wife and I have a Tuesday morning date morning every single Tuesday morning as of this year from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. No work on Tuesday mornings through 11 a.m. These are all changes I made coming into this year to make those things more intentional. Okay. So what I want you guys to do is as we're going through that here in a bit, I want you to start to think about what are some of those things that you want to make more intentional. Okay. So my 3 biggest lessons for 2025, and then we're going to dive into the planning. I'm going to move through these probably in about 20 minutes and then 30 minutes of planning at the back, is really about identity, the core identity versus the achievement identity. If you guys were to walk away with nothing other than that from this call, that can absolutely transform not just your year, but your life. Add more peace, add more joy as the constant, remove that anxious striving like it did for me this past 12 months. That's what I'm going to hammer on, guys, because I don't care how much money you make. The money is only there to support the life vision. That is it. That's it. And I'm going to show you guys why. Okay. Number 2, the key to adding leverage in business and life. I'm going to show you how to add better leverage, meaning get more out of less. And then the third thing is to find the constraint and then focus on it deeply. And I'll tell you guys what that means. Okay. So core identity, which I would deem as your true identity, versus your achievement identity, which I would deem as your false identity. When I really tackled this, coming into 2025, I would say the last part of 2024, early part of 2025, and then I started to fully deploy it in my life and with my coaching clients, full-blown transformation started to happen. The cool thing is when you do this, not only does work get more fun, but work also gets more profitable because it's more fun again, because it's not because it's based off of ego or fear or anxious striving. That's not fun. Okay. Work got better and more profitable, momentum picked up because I did this. Okay. But it wasn't the reason that I wanted to do it. So my main reason for doing it is to eliminate anxious striving, eliminate operating out of fear, and replace it with peace and service as the default root of my identity. Okay, guys, before I dive into this story, I want to ask the question, who's resonating with what I'm talking about so far? I know you came on a planning call and we're going to dig into the worksheets. And you're probably going, Trevor, just get to the planning worksheets. Okay. But if I just got to the planning worksheets and didn't go through what I've gone through and what I'm about to go through, I feel I'd be doing such a massive disservice for you and just giving you a tool to put down information based off of your current mindset that you're bringing into this call. I need to give you a tool, but I need to change your mindset so the output that goes on that tool is different than it would have been before you came into this call. Okay, guys, so let me know in the comments box if this is resonating. Pop in the comments box what you're getting out of it. So this is something that I was wrestling with in that last number of months with my dad. Okay. I would say the previous 2 to 3 years of my business life, I was heavily achievement driven as the core. I didn't realize it. I didn't think I was, but looking back, I was. And I'll tell you how to recognize if you are. Okay. Because I didn't know how to recognize if I was at that time. I would say the previous 5 to 6 years, I wasn't achievement driven. I just wanted to go do good work and serve people. I was servant driven. And that's what helped Carrot get to 8 figures a year. That's what helped us donate, and create our Carrot Impact Fund and start it with a $500,000 donation and do all these amazing things, become, a top 10 most philanthropic small business in the state of Oregon 2 years in a row, and Inc. 5,000 thing 5 years in a row. Those were outcomes of me approaching it the right way. But then some things got hard. And I started to believe all these awards that were stacking up. I started to believe the first and the second, and the third and the fourth and the fifth Inc. 5000 Inc. Magazine Award, fastest growing companies in America. I started to believe the award I got from the Portland Business Journal of 40 under 40. I started to believe the award you're the fastest growing software company in this whole state of Oregon, out of Little Roseburg, Oregon, 2 years in a row. I started to believe all these things, that's who I was, that those achievements are who I was. That if I walked into a room, that's what people would care most about, that he's the successful guy. He's the guy who built the team with 60 plus employees, that built the team that's doing $10 million a year, that's made millions of dollars in profits, that has all these properties, that has the big, that was me. That's what I thought. The problem is when things start to get hard. So post-COVID, the real estate market in general had some challenges. First of all, it was blowing up for a year or two, and then it got hard, right? And so when things get hard and you start to have some of those achievements that stacked up start to look not real anymore, meaning, oh, shoot, am I still the fastest growing company guy? Shoot, am I still the guy that does these things? Your confidence starts to get hit. And I would say 2022, 2023 into 2024 is the period where that started to happen. When your confidence starts to get hit, what happens? Fear pops up. We start to operate out of fear. We're trying to keep what we had. Okay, ego pops up. Oh, shoot. I got to get that back because that's who I am. And if that's not who I am in this meeting, in this presentation or whatever it is, what are people going to think about me? So am I lying now because I'm not that guy now or not that gal now? Those are all these things that were subconsciously driving some of my decisions or indecisions. And the reason I have a picture of Avicii on here, this famous DJ, I watched a documentary about him earlier this year, and Avicii was a savant. He was an absolute genius when it came to music, and he went from being a nobody as far as the world knew to a somebody, the biggest somebody in the whole DJ and EDM electronic dance music world. Okay, this guy was getting paid $500,000 just to appear and play some music for an hour. This guy was making $40-50 million in some cases, not some cases, but over that span of years, he made $40-50 million, according to some sources, probably more. And he ended up killing himself. This guy had everything from the material, from the achievement perspective. But when you watch that documentary, he was tormented with achievement. He was tormented with, shoot, I've got to now keep up this appearance. I've got to keep up this persona. I can't catch up with this because this isn't actually me at my core. I love doing this thing, but that is not who I am. And so in his challenge to keep that persona and to figure out who he actually was, he completely lost who he was. He lost his sense of being. He lost his sense of purpose. He lost his sense of identity. And when you start to lose that sense of identity, now you go out there and say, well, that's my identity. And you start to try to put out new music and that music's not hitting. You start to go, what am I worth? Who am I? So what happens when success isn't enough? When we think that more success is going to solve the problem? What happens when we think another deal or another 100,000 or hitting $1 million a year, $1 million a month is going to solve anything? What happens when that happens and it doesn't solve it? The clouds don't part, the angels don't sing, your life doesn't measurably change. You just move on to the next goal thinking that that's going to do it. What happens when success isn't enough? Well, what can happen at the worst is what happened to Avicii. What can happen at the normal is people slide into drift, slide into depression, slide into just being anxious, being ego-driven, being fear-driven. And that's not where we want to be. Viktor Frankl, he was a guy who wrote an amazing book. I remember reading it back in high school and college called A Man's Search for Meaning. And he was in the Nazi concentration camps. His family, I believe his family died. And he was in the worst of the worst physical situation where he literally had no freedom, right? He didn't have freedom to go do what he wanted to do, but he had the freedom to think what he wanted to think. And he ended up surviving. He wrote a book about it. And he said the meaning and identity couldn't be taken by circumstance. Identity comes from something beyond yourself. He said, life is never made unbearable by circumstances. I want you guys to read that again. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances. Life is never made unbearable by circumstances, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. He was in the worst of the circumstances, y'all. So I want you guys to picture this last 12 months in maybe some of the challenging circumstances that you've been in. Maybe a loved one passed away, like did for me, at the end of 2024. Maybe you had a health issue. Maybe you had a major financial challenge. Maybe you got into I've been coaching several Epic members who got into a lot of debt, and they're digging out of that debt right now. And that debt made them feel really crappy and really bad. And they started to lose their confidence, and they lost the trust of other people. And it's like, shoot, maybe that's a hard situation. What is your hard situation? Well, I want you to know life is never unbearable by those things, but only by lack of meaning and purpose. And so what I want you guys to do is shift into 2026 to really ask the question, why am I even building this business in the first place? Why does it matter? I can tell you it's not about getting that $1 million house. It's not about getting the number of deals. It's not about any of that stuff. It's not about those things. I'll show you what it is about. But false identity is always rooted in fear. So if you are coming into this call or coming into 2026 and you have a hard time dreaming about what the year is, or if you're looking back at 2025 and you recognize there's some key things you wanted to change, but you weren't willing to make the change, I want you to ask yourself and put in the comments box, put the word fear in the comments box. How many of you guys were kind of had fear as an undertone? You were afraid to make the decision. You were afraid to make the change. You're afraid of what other people are going to think when you make the change. Put the word fear in. That you are afraid of what was going to happen. Shoot, what if I fail? Put the word fear in. You're going, oh, shoot. What if this doesn't work? Put the word fear in. Oh, shoot. What if this does work? And now I'm a different person around the people that it's going to change who I am. It's going to change what people think about me. Shoot, put the word fear in. Okay. False identity is always rooted in fear. So if there's any fear that you have, it's rooted in a false identity, meaning you're trying to uphold something that's not actually your core, who you are. It's this shell over the top of you like an onion that we need to peel back and get rid of. That's not who you are. That's just something we're placing our identity in. We're trying to hold on to, and then fear is the manifestation of it. Okay? And then it always leads to anxious striving. What's anxious striving, y'all? This is what I want to eliminate for you in 2026, what I focus on every single day with my coaching clients, and what I'm really going to be stepping into in a better way with my team. Anxious striving. Anxious striving is, let's look at it. There's two different things. Okay, if you look at scripture, if you're a believer, striving is not a bad thing. Striving is not a bad thing. Going for something in the future is not a bad thing, as long as that thing is of service to other people, right? We're doing it for the right reasons. We're not worshiping that other thing, right? Just like in scripture, people say that they misuse this phrase of money is the root of all evil. That's not what scripture says. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. It doesn't say money is the root of all evil. It actually, scripture actually supports that financial well-being is a good thing if we use that as a good steward for the Lord, not just for ourselves. And if we're not worshiping the money, we're not fearfully chasing it, we're not anxiously striving for it. Okay. So striving is a good thing if it's for the right reasons, but anxious striving is not a good thing. That means we've got anxiety over it because we're fearful in some way, shape, or form about holding on to something or accomplishing something. So therefore, we're never going to stop striving. Okay, that's a real hard position to be in, guys. And entrepreneurs are insanely guilty of that. I am, for a long time. Put in the word anxious striving. If you just feel that as your undertone, it's not that you can't be happy. It's not that you can't be joyful. It's just your default undertone on a daily basis. You just go, man, why is there a little cloud that I can't get rid of? Why is there a little bit of fog that I can't get rid of? Why is it that I can't fully step into just joy at the highest level? Right now, when I could as a kid, why can't I right now? If any of those things or questions are popping up for you, anxious striving is very likely an issue. Put in anxious striving. Okay, so here's some false identities, y'all, that I had to tackle in 2025. And I want you to think about some of these. And then we're going to go through this little exercise, and then we're going to move on to tip number 2. And I'm going to buzz through the rest because I'm behind time a little bit. Okay, so false identities that entrepreneurs commonly wear. Success and status identities. I'm the 7-figure CEO, or I'm the 8-figure CEO, or I'm the 6-figure CEO. I'm the guy who scaled that company. I'm the breadwinner for the family. People depend on me, right? Or my team does. My net worth equals my self-worth. This was about 6-7 years ago. I stopped using the term net worth. And I would encourage you guys to not use the term net worth anymore. Okay. Not use it, because your net worth is not your self-worth. Okay. What I use instead is I just say personal balance sheet. That's literally my personal balance sheet. What is a balance sheet for business? It shows your assets and your liabilities. That's all that mine is. It's a personal balance sheet. It shows the assets that I have and the liabilities, and what's left at the end is my personal balance sheet. It's not my net worth. Stop using the word net worth, because that is not your self-worth. Okay. I have to do it myself. No one else will. If I let go, everything will fall apart. Guys, let me know if any of these are resonating with you. I'm the fixer. I'm the rescuer. Okay, I am what I accomplish. I have to earn my worth through results. If I stop, I lose. If we're not growing, we're dying. I'm only as valuable as my last win. I have to hustle to be loved. I'm the servant leader who sacrifices everything. I'm responsible for everyone else's success. I have to always be the example. Let me know if any of those resonate with you guys. Okay. And the reason I bring these up is these are false identities. It doesn't mean that they don't describe you. It doesn't mean that they don't describe you as the breadwinner. It doesn't mean that they don't describe you as a person who has built a 7-figure company. It doesn't mean that they don't describe you as a person who has accomplished things. It doesn't mean that they don't describe you as a person who likes to fix things. Those are descriptions, that they're not identity, but we root our identity in these things. That's where we get in trouble. So if you guys are cool with it, I'm going to share with you this model. Then we're going to move on to number 2 here, and we'll get into the worksheet because I'm running over time. I call it the identity bullseye. It's something I made earlier this year as I was wrestling through this myself. Okay. So on the outer ring, we have achievement. Okay. Achievement is something that is a good thing. Achievement's not a bad thing. And I don't want to make it seem like achievement is a bad thing. It's a good thing. Okay. But if we root our identity from what I call the outside in, okay, if we root our identity from achievement in, that is where it creates these things. It creates fear, those things I mentioned before. It creates ego, caring about what others think, okay? And it creates that anxious striving that I mentioned, okay? So if we root our identity in achievement, that I am what I achieve, and when I'm in a room, I'm just waiting for people to ask who I am or what I do, because then I can talk about what I do and all my achievements, and then I'm somebody. If that's the mindset that you have, I have had that over the years. Okay, it's gone now, but I've had it in the past. If that's what you are, then you're very likely rooting your identity in achievement. So what's the next rung in? The next rung in is your calling, okay, or your assignments. So what are callings or assignments? Well, callings or assignments are things, number one, that can change. Okay, so you're a father, you're a mother, you're a brother, you're a sister, right? You're a CEO, you're a volunteer, whatever it is. Okay, list all these assignments that you've been given in your life. They're things that you've stepped into to go do and to go be, right? So same thing. If we root our identity in these callings or assignments, in things that can change, those can change. My mom saw that they can change. I saw that they can change, right? My mom is one of the most amazing people in the world, and she's a caregiver. She's a servant. And when us 3 boys were living in the house still, she took that God-given talent as a servant as a person who cares, as a person who helps. And she showered it on us boys, right? It was the most amazing mom growing up. And we all moved out. So what does she do? She takes that core identity and she puts it on my dad, serves my dad just daily, the most amazing wife. Okay. And so in that last year of his life, as he was starting to have physical challenges and everything, she was serving him so hard and so good that it was to her detriment. I mean, she was wearing herself down. And after he had passed, we're all still working through it. There's the process, of course, of grieving, just trying to find out who you are. And she was married to my dad for over 40 years. Her identity was really wrapped up in her being the servant, that being the helper. And now she's like, who am I helping? Who is there to help? I was helping my husband every single day for decades, especially this last year. And now who am I if I don't have someone to wake up to serve and help? So we know identities can callings or assignments can change. You can go out of business. Now you're not a CEO anymore, right? So we can't root our identity in those. So in here is the core. And we have to ask the question, if we're rooting our identity in achievement and calling, what happens is we usually don't have a core. That is what we're treating as the root. We're treating these as the root. When we treat these as the root, this is the feeling that we get. Fear, ego, caring about what others think, anxious striving. There's always a pit. There's always a pit. Okay. There's always a pit. There's always something missing. There's always something that I've got to go after. Okay. Instead, we have to find the core. And I'm not gonna push my beliefs on anybody, but I can just tell you, for me personally, where I found that. I've been a believer for my whole life, but I wouldn't say that I was trusting the Lord. I would say I was one foot into the Lord and one heavier foot into the world in achievement. And I wasn't fully trusting the Lord. And I started ask those questions when my dad was passing, and reading scripture and going through other things like, who am I at my core? If business doesn't exist and all these things, like, who am I at my core where I can just be that same person everywhere, right? And the first thing is, for me, and you might adjust this. Maybe it's meditation. Maybe it's something else. It's the universe or whatever it is, right? But the first thing for me is like, well, who does God say that I am? Well, Scripture shows that. But once again, if you're not a believer, there's other sources to go out there and go think about, meditate, pray on it, figure out who is it that you are. Number two, what gifts have I been given? What unique gifts have I been given that I've been blessed with? This is where I made the shift. That's where I did some prayer, asked some people, talked about things. Number one, got a whole list of who God says I am out of Scripture. Number two, asked people, prayed about it, looked at things. And it's like, oh man, what if that's my core identity? That I'm the great encourager. I'm the person who goes out there and encourages people and helps people to grow. And I do that in every part of my life. What if I test that for 2025 and I test that for 2025? And so we need to live from the inside out. That's where ego goes away. Anxious striving goes away. All those things go away. And achievement, guys, changes. Achievement is fruit, not root now. Okay. Achievement is fruit, not root. And once I started to adopt that, that's where things change. It's like, I am not what I achieve. I am this. And I use this identity in these assignments I've been given as a father, as a husband, as a leader, as a CEO, as an encourager to you on the other end of this line. I use these gifts I've been given in these callings and assignments that have been given to me to steward during this season of my life. And when I do those well, achievements happen. When I do those well, achievements happen, but they're fruit of me living that core identity in those assignments effectively. They're not the root of who I am. As soon as I start to shift that around, y'all, the anxious striving slipped away. Okay, because the core is unchanging. The core is unchanging. When we operate out of our core, it's abundance. When we operate out of our core, guys, it's a lot more joy. When we operate out of our core, man, it's confidence. Confidence comes in there because that core is not going to be taken away from you. When we operate out of our core, this becomes our default, and these get eliminated. Does this make sense, guys? Pop in the comments box if this resonates in any way, shape, or form. Now, I can't solve the core for you today, but what I hopefully do is plant a seed for you to start to think about, man, if I'm feeling these things, am I treating achievement as the root of my identity? If I am, how do you flip the script from moving from working from the outside in on identity to the inside out? I can promise you it's going to change the world. Guys, achievement's fruit, not root. And when we operate as a default from it, like I said, it's marked by things that are not good. When we go from the inside out, it's marked by peace, by flow, service over significance and a business that works for you versus you working for it. So I have a question for you. Is anxious striving marking me in this season of life? Do I root my identity in my achievements too much? Once again, achievements aren't bad. They're just not who you are. They're the fruit of you living out your core identity in those assignments well, being a good steward of those well, being a good steward of that relationship as a husband or as a wife, being a good steward of your children as a father or a mother, being a good steward of your business and your team members as a leader, being a good steward of your community as a community leader. You are being a good steward of those assignments with that God-given gift you've been given. And the question I want you to think about as you're planning 2026, and we're getting ready to pull up these worksheets, is what if you couldn't fail? What if you didn't care about what other people thought? What would you do? I want you to write down right now a few thoughts. What if you couldn't fail and you didn't care about what others thought? What would you do? What would you do in 2026? Okay, write down a couple things. I would finally go start the business. I would finally take a leap of faith and go full-time. I would finally hire that first employee and just figure out how to delegate well. I would finally take those vacations with my wife and my family. I'd finally do the quarterly date retreats like my wife and I do. I'd finally do the date mornings or date nights and stick to them. I'd finally take my children for that trip. I'd finally go apologize or ask for forgiveness from my father or from my mother. What would you do? What would you do? So number two, guys, like I said, I've got to buzz through these. And I want to ask you a question because I want to respect your time. I've got this tip. This one's a quick one. I've got the next one, and then we're going to dive into the worksheets, okay? Do you guys want me to just go straight to the worksheets and we start planning, or do you guys want me to go through the next two tips? So pop in the comments box, not tips, but my next two mindsets. Pop in the comments box, guys, what route you guys want to go, and I'm going to go with where the group is. You guys want me to go through the next two mindsets? Then I will. Otherwise, we'll jump straight to the worksheets. Awesome. Cool. Excellent. Let's do it. So the next thing that I really stepped into in 2025 that I want you guys to think about for 2026, and something that I would say I'm talking about on almost every single coaching call that I do with my coaching clients right now, I'm talking about this right now because it's hot on my mind. It's hot on my mind with my team and my company right now because we slipped away from this. Is if you're looking to grow your company or to get in better shape or any of those 6 F's, faith, family, friends, finances, fitness, and fun, those buckets of life, there's usually one constraint or one challenge or one bottleneck that is the only one that you should actually be solving right now. Okay. Yeah. I was talking with a coaching client a few weeks ago, and they were looking to map out their marketing on how to scale the business for this next year. And they had all these ideas. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to add an acquisitions person. I'm going to scale up my marketing channels. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I go, great. You could do all those things. But what if only one of those things was actually going to solve the problem and everything else was just busy? Everything else was busy. Everything else was extra expense. Everything else was extra time. But the one right now is the only one you should focus on. Would that make you feel light and right? You go, oh man, it's such a relief that I just got to do one of these things right now. If so, let's just find that one thing. And that one thing is called the constraint. Okay. So business and life, I usually find, does not struggle from lack of opportunity. Okay. It struggles from too much opportunity or too many projects or too many focuses at once. Marriage is a good example. Marriage usually doesn't struggle because of not enough opportunity to love on the person or not enough opportunity of things to do. Usually it struggles because of too much distraction opportunity, because we take on too many things as a couple and we can't focus on each other. Okay, business struggles because we take on too many projects, too many marketing channels at once, too many different markets at once, too many different exit strategies at once. And we can't do them all well. We struggle with indigestion, not starvation. So there's something called the theory of constraints, where every system, right, business, processes, life, has a constraint or a bottleneck, a core issue. And that dictates its maximum output. So I'm going to get kind of process vernacular on you. It dictates its maximum output, meaning if you're thinking about it from a conveyor belt perspective or a manufacturing perspective or a faucet perspective, there's only so much that can come out over here based on what is back here, right? So in this example, you can see there are some spots in the faucet that have a bigger capacity. So let's just say these are units. I don't care what these are. It could be leads, steps, widgets, gadgets. I don't care what it is. but this one has a capacity, okay? This one has a capacity of 150 of that thing. So it's got the most capacity. Great. It doesn't matter that can allow 150 things through, because this one has a constraint of 15. So if this one can put 150 through, this one can only put 40 through, this one can put 15 through, all that can come out the back end is 15. Right? So in business, this is what I work on with my coaching clients, and now we're baking it back into Carrot. In business, our job is to find the one constraint. What we oftentimes do, though, is we look at all the different problems that are coming up, and we make a big old list of projects. We start to tackle the problems, and we don't put all the energy and effort in solving the one that actually matters. Okay, we hire people. We put too many expenses in place because we're solving problems that should not get solved right now. We're doing things that shouldn't be getting done. Yeah, I've got a quote in here somewhere. I'll say it to you right now, but it's a Peter Drucker quote that is something to the effect of, there's nothing more useless than there's nothing more useless than solving a problem that should not be solved in the first place. Or there's nothing more useless than optimizing something that shouldn't exist in the first place. So how many of us are trying to optimize something in our life or business that just shouldn't exist in the first place? It should just be gone. It's a distraction. Okay. There's a client that I was working with. They were laboring over this direct mail campaign, and they were laboring over how to optimize it. And I pulled back and said, well, let's look at the real problem. So how many deals do you want? How many leads do you have coming in? And their lead number wasn't very far off from what they needed to hit the deals. And I said, great. So what else are you doing to market? And they said, well, I'm doing Google pay-per-click, and I'm doing a little bit of cold calling. I'm doing this direct mail. I go, awesome. Tell me about what's happening there. Google pay-per-click was crushing it for them, but wasn't getting quite the volume. Direct mail was really struggling for them. They were spending thousands, not getting much of a return. And cold calling was kind of the side thing. I said, awesome. So I'm going to walk you through the next one here, which is leverage. But I said, great. Can you just do more? Can you do more PPC? That thing that's working, can you do more of it? And stop doing everything else. Like, don't optimize the direct mail if it doesn't need to be optimized. Stop doing it and put more effort into the thing that's already working. They did, and results improved. Okay, they increased this bottleneck and increased the output. Okay, so when we're going through this, I need you to think about this in 2026. Improving non-constraints, meaning the thing that is not the actual issue, doesn't help. It just is busy. Focus must be on the primary bottleneck. Everything else is a distraction. So another client that I was working with, they were getting a ton of leads in the front end. And I asked them, I said, hey, what's your biggest issue right now? Okay. He said, well, I think I need an acquisitions person. I need another acquisitions person. That's my problem. I said, okay, well, let's figure it out and see. So let's look at your leads. Their leads were good. They're getting plenty of leads to hit their deal number. Okay. So check that box. Leads is not the constraint. Leads is basically this here. They had a bunch of leads coming in. Okay. And that was from PPC. Number two, when the leads come in, who's getting those leads? Well, a lead manager was getting those leads. And then there's an acquisitions person on the other end of it. He thought he needs to add another acquisitions person. So let's say you add an acquisitions person over here, Johnny. Great. So how much can each acquisitions person handle? I'm making this up, guys. But let's say every acquisitions person can handle 20 leads a week. Okay. Or no, not 20 leads a week. Let's say that they can do 20 appointments a week. Okay. They can do 20 appointments a week. They can really manage a pipeline of 20 at a time. So if we're getting, let's say 30 leads a week, okay, and this person is only getting 17 appointments a week, my client thought he needed to add another acquisitions person because he sees a bunch of leads and not as many deals closing as he thought. We did the numbers, and it's like, dude, you don't need another acquisitions person. Your acquisitions person isn't even maxed out right now. I think his number was actually like 12 a week or something like that. Okay. And we looked upstream. We said, what is the actual issue? It was your lead manager. The lead manager needed some better tools. It needed to add some tech, and we need to add some skills for that lead manager to automate some things so they could actually follow up on all those leads more quickly, to book more appointments. The problem wasn't leads. It wasn't acquisition. It was the lead manager wasn't getting booked appointments. So that was the only thing he should have solved. And that was literally not on his list at all to solve. On his list to solve was hire a new acquisitions manager and maybe grow some leads some more. And those were not the things that should be even touched at all. Is this making sense, guys? That is not the thing that should be touched at all. The only thing that should be solved, leads should stay exactly the same. No projects on leads. Shouldn't touch at all the acquisitions thing. You should only solve the leads thing. Once you solve that, it increases output. Okay, that's no longer the constraint. Now you pull back and say, what's the next constraint? Very likely, the next constraint would then be acquisitions. Because now let's say this person's booking 25 appointments a week. Now this person can't get to all of them. So we either need to add skills for that person or tech to make it better, or we need to hire and increase the output. So is this making sense, y'all? This is kind of techie, kind of complicated, but here's the deal. If your goal is much bigger than your current system will allow, we need to find the one output, the one constraint that is the problem. And we've got a process you guys can find at my YouTube channel. It's called the Revenue Unlock. Okay, the Revenue Unlock. Find it on my YouTube channel. And I've got a whole worksheet over there and a video that walks you how to do this every single quarter. Okay, so one thing I want you to think about to help you find the constraint is what I'm usually going to do is literally map out using my Revenue Unlock. I want you guys to do this going into 2026. Well, just go to YouTube, look up Trevor Mock Revenue Unlock or something like that, and you'll probably find it. But the question that I like to ask is I say, well, if I have a goal to do X, right? I have a question of, well, what is already working? What's already working? Like, what is already working to get a deal? So I was talking with a client a few weeks ago, and same thing. They said, hey, I want to be able to move from a couple deals a month to 4 deals a month. And they wanted to add on a brand new marketing channel. Okay, wanted to add on TV advertising. Okay, so I go, great, TV advertising could work, but what is already working to get the 2 deals you're already getting? They were getting distracted saying, well, I'm going to go do something new. I said, no, let's just see if we can do more of what is already working. So they said, well, referrals and networking is where I'm getting my 1 to 2 deals a month right now. I said, great. So the first question you always want to ask guys is, can I just do more of what's already working? Not a new thing. That's distraction. That's extra expense. That's stress. That's all these. That's get rid of the new thing. Can I just do more of the thing that's already working? Can I do more of the thing that's already working? And usually the answer is yes. And that's, if I'm coaching you, that's literally going to be my answer. Awesome. Just do more of that and stop getting distracted by this crap over here. Just do more of that thing. And so we mapped out a plan for him to do more of that thing. And that is turning into good results. So his strategy is more focused. His strategy is better now because he's doing more of something that already works. It's easier to scale something that already works than to start something new that you don't know. So if you're like, well, I don't know what's working. I'm getting a couple deals here and there, but I really don't know where it's coming from. If you don't know what to do more of, then your number one constraint is honestly getting the data. You got to get the data. Your number one constraint is not just time or effort or unlocking the things so you can do more of those things. Your number one constraint is understanding with clarity your data. So if you're in that bucket where you're like, I'm getting some deals done, but I don't know what's working, that is your number one project in Q1, guys. Write that down. Your number one project in Q1, if you're doing a bunch of marketing, but you're not sure what's working, you're not sure what you can do more of to scale. I call it scaling bright spots. The only thing you should be working on in January is getting your data and your metrics in a simple scorecard that tells you what's working. That's your only thing you should be doing. Okay. This making sense, y'all? So I'm not going to go through the rest of these just for sake of time. I want you focusing on these 2 things. As you're looking at 2026, ask the question, what is already working and what has worked to get deals done or to get business done? Or if you're doing fitness, let's say you're wanting to get in better shape and you're working out 3 days a week. You want to get in even better shape. My question is, not what can you add? I'm going to say, can you just do more of that? If you're already working out 3 days a week, can you just work out 5 days a week now? Can you work out 7 days a week? Okay. Or if you're working out 7 days a week, you're like, dude, I can't work out 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So no, I can't do more of that now. Right. The more is gone. So then we say, great. Awesome. Next thing then, if I can't do more of that, then I'm going to ask the question of, well, what is it that I'm trying to improve? What metrics do I need to understand? Well, you might now go, shoot, I don't really know what I'm going after actually. Well, maybe you need to get your body fat scanned. Maybe you need to take some blood tests and figure out how your blood health is. Maybe there's some other things that you want to scan to get some metrics. And now you're like, oh, cool. Yeah, I've got my metrics clear now. I want to move from 18% body fat to 10 or to 12 or to 15. I've got my metrics now. Great. And now you're going to go get that scan every quarter, every month, whatever it's going to be. Awesome. So now I've got metrics. And now I go back and say, is there anything I can do more of? And maybe to get lower, you need to hire a coach, and they're going to have you have more healthy food and less crappy food. So you guys see where I'm going with this as a general mindset for 2026? Anywhere you're wanting to grow, ask what is already working. Can I just do more of that thing? If I don't know if I can do more of that thing to get a better result, I need to understand the metrics. And then I go back and say, great, what can I do more of? You guys understand that? That's the way that's going to help you dramatically grow, even double your business or double the results on anything. So like I said, scale the bright spots, ask that question. And then that's your primary focus for the next 60 days. Write that down, guys. If you already know something that's working, write down, how do I unlock and do more of that this next year? If you don't know what's working, your number one job in January, February is to understand the metrics so you understand what's working. All right. Third tip, guys, and we're diving into the planning. Like, so this is probably going to be a 2.5 hour call. Hopefully you guys are okay with that. Is leverage. Okay. Right after we understand identity and why we're building this business, and that the achievements are the fruit, not the root. Okay. Then we step into, great, we want to grow the business. We need to find the one constraint at a time and then solve that constraint. Once it's solved, the next constraint's going to pop up. Then you solve it one at a time. Okay. Then we ask the question, well, how do I solve these constraints? How do I get that problem solved so it's better? Well, I like to add leverage, and leverage was one of my biggest keys or learnings for this year. I knew what leverage was, but I was ignoring constraint and leverage for the last 2 years. I was ignoring it. It was fundamentals I knew, but I was ignoring them. So I added them back into my life, back into my business, back into my coaching clients, back into my team. We're going to hit those full force in 2026 at Carrot and with my coaching clients. But then we go, how do we add leverage? Well, what is leverage? How do we get more with less? Growth isn't about doing more. It's about having greater impact with every hour and every dollar that we've got, right? So let's kind of talk about what this looks like, and I'll talk about why I learned this in 2025. So in 2025, I would say 2023 was marked with a lot of anxious striving, busy. A lot of good things happened in 2023. Amazing things happened in 2023. But I would say it was marked with a general tone of anxious striving and just some challenges. And I went away from some of my fundamentals. 2024 was really marked with getting closer to God, relationships with my family, and really asking those questions, why and who am I at my core, so I can really lead into that. That was a foundational building year for me. 2025 was taking that now and saying, great, I've got a bigger vision for where I want to go with my company. I've got a bigger vision for the impact I can make. I've got a bigger vision on how I can encourage more people in the world in ways that are going to help you live an amazing life. How do I get more with the finite time that I've got? And so what I want you guys to do is think about this. What I was stuck in 2022, 2023 was either big risk, big time, like whatever it is, like big time, big risk, big money, whatever is big investment for a small reward. Okay. How many of you guys are stuck in that mode where you're working really, really hard, maybe even putting in dollars for an outsized reward, but in the wrong way? Okay. And here's what I mean for that. I've only lost money on one real big investment. I haven't even lost money on it yet, but I'm expecting to. Knock on wood. So we'll see what happens. But it was a syndication, and I went against my investment criteria in 2022 or 2023 on that syndication. Okay, I have four investment criteria that I follow, principles, and it blasted 2 or 3 of them. Okay, one of those things was asymmetric rewards. Okay, that I want to make an investment that has an asymmetric reward, meaning in that case, I made a $300,000 investment into a syndication, which I should have never done because it didn't meet 2 of my other financial criteria, but I did it because of a relationship and I shouldn't have done it. Okay, I made an investment. And when I really do the math, it's a big risk or big investment for a very, very small reward. I'm talking, 10, 12, 14% potential return, but the money's locked up for years and it has a chance of losing it all. Okay. That's a big, big issue. So what got me where I am with Carrot was not that. It was making small risks that have outsized impacts, where I can make a $100,000 investment that has a 50% chance of losing half of it, but it has a real chance, let's say not even 50%, it has a 30% chance of losing half of it, but it has a real chance of 10 or 100xing that return. I remember back in 2010, I made a $25,000 investment that was one of these. It was a small risk for a big potential return. That $25,000 investment, guys, I was one of the first 2 investors in a software company. That company today is worth over $100 million. And that investment turned into over $3 million in equity. Who would want more of those outsized returns? $25,000 investment in exchange for $3 million. That's what I want to do more of. So I started doing more of those things. How do I make a small investment in time using AI? How do I make a small investment in time by making a process or system or hiring someone that's going to have an asymmetric return, meaning a big result on the other end? Okay, so we want to make more of those. And the way that we do that is this right here. Is we add leverage. Okay, you add leverage. You can add leverage with skills. You can add leverage with technology. And so I'm not talking about financial investments as it comes to this. I'm talking about how you actually add more leverage to your activities, to the things that you're doing in your businesses. Okay, so if with skills, it's almost like a ladder and things go up, and you kind of meet right here. You meet mastery with leverage. When we're really adding a lot of leverage to our business or life, it's when we have grown our skills and added technology to amplify it together. And that's what we do here at Carrot. Tony earlier in the call had mentioned our AI search challenge. I would encourage every single one of you guys to go to carrot.com/challenge. I don't care if you're a real estate agent, an investor, a house flipper, a contractor, an HVAC, a roofer. It doesn't matter. That challenge is going to work for you to get mentioned more in AI search by ChatGPT, by Google AI overviews. That's a high leverage activity. But that is a skill combined with technology to give you mastery and leverage. It gives you more leverage. Okay. So on the skills side, at the very low level of skills is self-taught. Okay. Many of you guys are self-taught. You're going out there and learning in the forums and reading the books and things like that. You're self-taught. The next level up is practice, meaning not only did you learn some things, but now you're doing it. Okay, you're starting to practice how to make an offer. You're starting to practice how to negotiate with the seller. You're starting to practice how to build your website, do SEO. You're starting to practice how to optimize a Google ad. You're starting to practice how to work out. You're starting to practice how to have better conversations with your spouse. Okay, then you put it into practice. You take the learning and now you go put it in the world and put it into practice. So then the next level up now is you do it enough. You do that thing enough where your skill grows and now you have experience, right? You haven't just done it a time or two, but now you have experience in the thing. Okay, so now you've gained knowledge, you put it into practice, you've done it a bunch, now you have experience in the thing, your skill has grown. And now over here, you want to really double down on it. You have hired a mentor who has more experience than you to accelerate that learning and accelerate that skill. You've now been mentored, you've been trained to move faster to grow the skills than you could by yourself. Okay, so now let's look at technology. And these are things I doubled down on big time in 2025, and I'm going to double down on even more in 2026, y'all. Technology. If you think about this from like digging a ditch or something like that, right? First is manual. So if I'm digging a ditch and I'm doing it with my hands, that's really, really hard. So this is hard here. And this is easy over here, okay? So I'm taking a task. I've got to combine skills with technology because I can't automate something if I don't know how to do the thing in the first place, right? So if I don't know how to dig a ditch, if I don't have the basic skills of being taught and putting into practice, I'm not going to know how to use the tool or to make a system to do it. But the first level of technology is manual. Like you're going to dig the ditch with your hands. Okay. You can get it done, but it's really, really hard. It's painful and it's going to take a long time. The next thing up is you can get a tool. So you can get a tool. So let's say you're doing lead management and managing your leads manually, or you're trying to build a website manually, or doing all these things manual. That's hard. It's going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy. Well, now you get some tools to make it better. You get a shovel to dig that ditch. Okay, it's going to make it easier. It's going to be faster, but it's still kind of hard. You still got to do some of that work. The next thing is systems. Okay, that's where we take multiple tools with our knowledge and build them into systems. That's your email or text message automation. That's having a system that helps you manage those leads. That's having the system that helps you make your marketing plan. It's having a system that helps you do that content for you in your Carrot account. Okay, then you patch enough systems together into automations where those things happen for you. So if we can grow our skill sets by learning, doing exactly what you're doing today, combine it with technology, that's where we get the biggest and best leverage out of things. Okay. One of my first things I did back in 2000, this would have been 14 or 15, is I joined my first real mastermind. That's Russell Brunson over here. So who in here has heard of Alex Hormozi? Pop in the comments box if you guys have heard of Russell Brunson or if you've heard of Alex Hormozi. Well, this is a mastermind over here that I had started in 2008. just a bunch of dudes who are barely making any money. Some of us weren't making six figures. None of us had families at that time. We started in 2008, 2010. We still run that group every single day, every single year this year. They're coming to my hometown, Roseburg, Oregon this year. 100% of those 8 people that group started with, 100% are worth over $20 million. 100% have a marriage, and it's their first and only marriage that they've had, no divorces. 100% of those people are worth 8 figures right now. 100% successful marriages, successful businesses. Why is that? Because I stepped into those relationships to add leverage. I stepped into those relationships to learn. I stepped into those relationships to grow. And I did the same with Russell Brunson. So Alex Hormozi was in the group when I was in the group. He was in the group before he was Alex Hormozi. He was still the gym launch guy who was actually going to gyms and doing the gym launches. Alex Hormozi is one of the best guys that I've seen add leverage to his business and life. Okay, he's added leverage with skills, with technology. And that was one of the first things I did was join a group, get mentors that helped me add leverage to grow care in amazing ways. Okay. So AI is a major lever in 2026, guys. Major lever in 2026. Okay. So, and I was in Brunson's mastermind for 4 or 5 years, got to know him insanely well, got to know Hormozi insanely well. Add leverage through groups, guys. Okay. So AI is a major lever in 2026. And what I would encourage you guys to do, and then we're going to move into the planning, because I know I'm a half hour behind y'all. If you guys are still getting value out of this, I'll keep going. But AI is going to be a major lever for you in 2026. As you're making your plan, I want you to ask the question, how can I leverage AI more this next year? Okay. We have AI tools in our software, in our Carrot CRM that automate things for you, to automate your lead scoring. It looks at all of your phone call conversations, all of your notes, the property data, everything about it, your text messages, your emails to that client and back. It automates a score in that lead. We have AI overviews that takes all the conversations that you've had and every bit about data about that property and gives you an overview in an instant. So you don't have to take 10, 15 minutes catching up on all the conversations you've had with that prospect for the last 6 months. Okay, we have our autonomous lead manager that automatically, when a lead comes in, can have full-blown email and text message conversations in your voice to drive them to an appointment on your calendar. Guys, these are all automations that we're putting in place for you to have AI agents. So Carrot CRM is full of AI agents, and we're building more AI agents for Carrot websites and Carrot marketing this year. And we have a crazy AI agent that we're working on I can't announce right now that's really, really cool. So if you're just using ChatGPT to go to ask some questions, great. That's a good start. I want you now to step into highly trained GPTs. I teach my coaching clients how to do this, where you feed detailed information about your business into it so it can actually give you wise information about your business. But I really want you guys to start to adopt getting your first 1 or 2 AI agents in 2026. Things that AI does to fully automate workflows for you that you would have had to do or an employee would have had to do in the past. Okay, guys. So that's where I want you guys to focus in on, is stepping into that next level of AI to add real leverage. Tune in, guys. We're going to have more webinars. We're going to have more trainings, teach you guys how to do this. So action item for this tip is, what can you do to get more with less on your number one constraint in 2026? Is there a skill to grow? How are you going to grow that skill? Are you going to learn from a webinar like this? You're going to buy a book, buy a course, join a coaching program, join a mastermind. I suggest every single person be in a mastermind and have a coach, whether they're paid groups or not. Everybody should have a coach that's mentoring into them and should be a part of a peer group that helps them go along. And everybody should be mentoring someone 1 or 2 steps down below. Highly, highly believe in that. Okay. And then, is there tech that will accelerate that for you? I want you guys to write down how you're going to grow your skills in 2026. Because if you want to grow your business, your identity has to grow, which your skills have to grow. Okay. What skills do you need to grow in 2026? Write some of those down right now. And then, is there technology that'll help accelerate some of those things to get your time back? Okay. Write some notes down there. Okay. And I've got one bonus tip for you guys I think can change your lives. So there are people at the top of the call talking about distraction, talking about, man, I need to get rid of distraction. Well, I've been there multiple times. And that's one of the core issues that I see when I have a new coaching client coming in, no matter if they're an 8-figure entrepreneur or someone making $350,000 a year. This is a major issue. And I want to help you get your mind back and your momentum back in 2026. I want to help you get more energy, more clarity, more momentum. And it's not by doing more things. It's not by grinding more. In fact, it's the exact opposite. So this is what a coaching client of mine said. His name is Jason. He said when we were on a call not too long ago, it was about 3 weeks ago. He had a major vice of his phone. It was clouding his brain, clouding his judgment, clouding his vision, clouding his energy, taking time away from his family, taking intention away from his family. And he said, dude, I've had 2 other coaches over the last handful of years try to solve this phone distraction without success. And he goes, notch 1 point for you. I didn't think you could do it. You solved it in less than 60 days. I have my focus back, my clarity back, my time back. And I'm not going to be able to solve it for you guys fully, but I'll give you guys some tips on what I did. Okay. So the first thing here, if you guys want to learn this, you guys want to learn this, how to eliminate distraction, but also how to get your mind back, your momentum back for 2026 as a crescendo to the lessons. And then we'll dig into the planning docs right here. Okay. If you guys want to learn this transformed my life in 2025 and started in 2024. Okay. So the first mindset that I want you guys to adopt is when things get hard, our natural tendency is to cut the very things out of our life that give us the most joy. Okay, what do I mean by that? When things get hard, I hear this all the time, and I've done this as well. Oh man, I just need to put my head down and grind through this. Okay, who has ever said that? When things get hard, we go, oh shoot, I just can't. I've got to schedule over my workout. I'll get back to my workout next week. When things get hard, we go, hey babe, man, I can't get the date night this week. I've got to get this thing done. Can we pick it back up next week? Next week becomes next week. Next week becomes the week after that. And then it becomes no date nights anymore. Okay. Or when things get hard, that hobby that we started to pick up, the mountain bike riding or the time with friends or whatever it was, we don't have time for those anymore now. And we start to cut those out of the schedule. Why? Well, we justify because things are hard. I need to focus. I need to work a little bit more, work a little bit harder. And then when I'm out of this season, I'll get all those things back. Who of you can relate to that? That's the default that most of us do. But what I want you guys to think about is this. I want you to pop in the comments box if you can relate to that mode of operation. Think about what that does to you internally. What does this do to you internally? What you're doing is you're training yourself that every time things get hard, life is about to suck. What does that do to you internally, guys? You start to feel heavy. You start to feel that anxious striving creep in, a little bit of the fear, a little bit of the stress creep in, because your reaction to things getting harder is to cut the things that you love the most. And that's crazy, right? And I've done that so many times over my life. I caught myself a couple months ago going, oh, shoot. I said I wanted to do this hobby and I'm not doing it. Why? Because I'm justifying it with I got to get this work thing done. Pull back. Let's not do that. I'm going to show you guys what to do instead. The natural tendency is to think I just need to put my head down, grind through this, and we'll get through it. The first things we cut are the very things that give us the most energy and joy. What we need to do instead, guys, is actually add joy and energy back in. That is the very first thing that you do. So I want you to write down one thing. This is a question I'll ask my coaching clients. Exactly. There's guilt in it, right? So here's the deal. We're training our bodies and our psyche that every time things get hard, that life is going to suck and we're going to remove the very things that we love the most. Guys, that removes motivation to actually get the work done. When we do that for too long, our motivation for work goes down. Our motivation to solve it goes down. Our energy goes down. Our creativity goes down because of that. And I remember a quote from Einstein, or at least it's attributed to Einstein years ago, that it's the same level of thinking that got you, or the level of thinking that got you into that problem is not the same level of thinking that will get you out of it. So I want you guys to think about this for a second. What we're saying is I'm just going to do more of the thing that got me into this. And I think that by doing more of the thing that got me into this, more of the level of thinking that got me into this, it's going to get me out of it. How crazy is that, guys? That by doing more of the thing that got me here harder and cutting the things that I like, it's going to get me out of this. That is insanity. That's why it doesn't work. And that's why so many entrepreneurs are stuck on this treadmill of lack of joy, of anxious striving, of business that own them, that they don't own the business. Okay, we need to remove that guilt because the business is here to serve you, and you can't serve the business unless you're taken care of. It's like the old analogy of an airplane. of, they say when the oxygen mask comes down, you got to put it on yourself before you even put it on your kid. Why is that? Because you can't take care of your kid unless you're taken care of. So what does that mean? Well, we need to add joy back in. So what I do, in this last season of my life is when things get hard, I look at my calendar and go, okay, what have I cut out recently? So that's the question. What have you cut out recently that you used to love or you used to do, or that you're not doing enough that give you energy and joy? What have you cut out recently? And I'm going to tell you to add that back into the calendar. I was working with a coaching client, Rodrigo. He's a long distance runner. He does these trail runs, and he was in a stressful phase. And I said, dude, you look like you're kind of getting burnt out. He said, I am. I'm just going to put my head down. It's going to got to grind through this. It's just going to be a season. I said, well, what if it doesn't have to be a season? What if we change the way that we approach challenge and instead we make it a joyful thing? Because challenges are there to grow us. They're not done to us. They're done for us to grow us. So if we approach it in that way, that this challenge is there to grow us, and the reason we're having that challenge, very likely, unless it's like an accident or a health issue with a family member or something, but the reason we're having that business challenge or that fitness challenge, very likely, is because there's a skill that you don't have. You need to gain a skill, because if you had that skill and that mindset, you wouldn't be going through that challenge, right? So we need to say, okay, number one, this is done for me, not to me. What skill do I need to learn? Number two. So identify what skill do I need to learn. Number two is what gives me energy and joy that I need to add back in. And you're going to pull up the calendar right now and you're going to add it back in. Rodrigo said, man, I do these long distance trail runs. I said, when's the last time you did one? He goes, 6 months ago. I go, dude, awesome. You're going to do one. When you want to do the next one? A couple months from now. It's like, no, it's got to be sooner. When's the next one going to be? 3 weeks from now. Awesome. What are you going to do today and this week to train for that? That gives you energy and joy? Well, dude, I haven't been running every day and I love doing that, but I cut it out because I've been so busy. I've been out of energy. I go, great. Well, how many days a week do you want to have energy? Every day. Great. Does running give you energy? Yes, it does. Shouldn't you then run every day if you want to get energy? So it's this vicious cycle. I'm out of energy, so therefore I won't work out, but working out gives me energy. Why would I not do that? Right. So he added that trail run back in. We talk later. He's like, dude, I'm fine. He started to add joy back into his life. Date nights with the wife again, hang time with buddies, going through and joining a Bible study, doing that long distance trail run, added things back in. Life came back. Creativity came back. Momentum came back. Results came back. This all makes sense, guys? This all makes sense? That's what I want you guys to do. The very first thing is you add joy back in. So this is something I call my momentum meter. And we don't have a lot of time for this. Go watch. I have a YouTube video on this. Look it up. But the momentum meter is this tool that I use personally whenever I feel like I'm out of momentum to get my momentum back. Okay. I made this tool sitting on an airplane flying to Tampa, Florida, as I was going, man, I just got myself into momentum. What did I do to get there? Because 6 months ago, I was out of momentum and I was in a funk. How do you get out of funks faster? Okay. I help my clients do this at scale, but this is not something I have a lot of time to go into now. Well, if you feel like you're out of momentum, you're in this burnout phase. Well, burnout is not from working too much, y'all. So you guys can probably all remember times when you had the most energy, the most joy ever, and you were working a ton of hours. Like, how many of you guys can relate that you worked 10, 12 hours a day during this season? You were fired up and you were energized. Well, you were fired up and energized very likely because you had purpose. You were excited about what you were doing, number one. But number two, you were probably still doing things outside of work that energize you. Okay. Burnout's not from working too much. It's from not doing things outside of work that you love the most. So if we're in burnout, it's because just like a pendulum, this pendulum works this way. You pull it up here and it's going to go to the equal and opposite side of the pendulum. Okay. So what we're doing when we're in burnout or we're not in momentum is we're not pulling up into rest enough. We're working too much. We're trying to pull up into work more. I just need to work more. I need to work more. And that's the opposite. We actually need to pull up into rest. And then when we rest, that allows us to slingshot up into the next level of work. Okay. So if you're in burnout, it's because you're in the distracted zone of rest, meaning you're not pulling up into rest enough out of distraction. And distraction is your phone. It's whatever your vice is. You're distracted in your vice. Okay. So if I'm just distracted all day, all I'm able to produce on work is busy work. Distraction, busy work, distraction, busy work, distraction, busy work, distraction, busy work. That is burnout. Can anyone relate to this? Can anyone relate to this? Are you in burnout right now? If so, it's because you're distraction, busy work, distraction, busy work, distraction, busy work. That'll burn out anybody. Okay. So instead, we need to, number one, eliminate the vice. I talked a little bit about how to do it earlier. I don't have time to go through my vice elimination process here, but identify the vice and ruthlessly root it out. I've got a YouTube video on that very likely, and I coach my clients on this all day long. And then number 2 is we need to sweat daily, meaning we need to put something on the calendar every day that moves our bodies, that gets us moving, that gets us energy. That's on the calendar. It's a non-negotiable. You do it because it gives you life. It gives you energy. When you have energy, you start to get more clear because you're more clear on your priorities. You fly past busy work, okay? You start to dial in your calendar a little bit more, and you start to produce. Producing is you actually start to produce the impact you're looking to do. Now, you can make $1 million a year just doing that right there, okay? But if you wanted to move up to the next level, we need mental clarity. Mental clarity helps us not only get clear on our priorities, but helps us to really do that work that you were created to do, that your artwork, the work that you're the best at, the work that drives value, that drives energy for you. To do that, we need to have a daily process to get up into mental clarity. So that needs to be non-negotiable. For me, it's reading, it's prayer, it's reading scripture, it's going on walks a couple times a week outside. Mental clarity on the daily basis. When we do that, bam, it slingshot up here to your energy work, creating art. That you can make 10 million a year getting there. When you do this enough, guys, transformation on the personal side happens. Confidence starts to come because you're making some things happen. You're doing daily disciplines. You've got energy, confidence picking up. You're starting to shed these limiting beliefs that are holding you back. You transform on the identity side. Like I said, your business then has no choice but to grow. When your identity grows, your business transforms as well. Guys, that right there is the model, the formula for how to go through and crush it in 2026. Add joy back into your calendar first, even though it feels the opposite of what you should do. Don't have the mindset of I just need to grind through this and push through. And if you guys want to eliminate the phone distraction, I don't have time to go over this. Grab this slide and then scan this QR code. It's going to open up your app store for the Opal app, OPAL. It changed my life. I have all my coaching clients. They've got to use it. They've got to use this. Okay. So scan that, guys. Opal, OPAL app. I think it's $100 a year. That's worth $1 million a year to me for sure. Okay. So let's go through this, guys. I want you to peg a vice that you're drifting to. Write it down. This is part of your planning. While I'm teaching you, we're planning. We're putting ideas to the side here. But peg a vice that you're drifting off into too often. That if you do it enough, it's destructive. It's distracting you. Okay, what are you going to do to eliminate that vice? What are you going to replace it with? I want you to replace it with something that gives you energy every day. Okay, something that gives you clarity. So there's the physical and the mental. I want you to replace that vice with that. Okay, what did I do with my phone vice coming in 2025 when I replaced it? I put a book on my nightstand. I have my Bible in the living room. Those are 2 areas I would be. And I replaced it with reading my goals on here twice a day. Okay. So it's fully replaced with those things. And I want you to ask the question, what are you going to replace it with and who are you going to hold accountable, or who will hold you accountable for that? In my coaching group, that's what we do, is we hold people accountable to make those moves. So I'm about half hour behind pace, y'all. Hopefully you guys are getting value out of this. What I'm going to do now is we're not going to really go through and do all the worksheets together because it's really hard for you to do the worksheet with me kind of yelling in your ear. I'm going to do an overview of how to go through the worksheets. And then I want you to go do the worksheets in your own time this weekend, something like that. I like to do it in my own time. Okay. And then go and use our evergreen marketing for real estate Facebook group, our Carrot Facebook group, and ask questions there. DM me on Instagram. I'll give you my Instagram here in a bit. But I want you guys to go take those, print those off, and go use them. Okay. So for 2026, like I said, when we talked about constraints, I want you focusing the vast majority of your energy in one clear direction, making one clear transformation, and not spreading yourself thin on 30 different things. Okay. Because we only have a finite amount of energy, time, and resources. And like in this example, this line, when you break it up into little amounts, this line is the exact same length as all of these little lines combined. The challenge is these little lines equal busy. Okay, they equal busy. There's a lot of things started, not a lot of things finished. A lot of energy expended, not a lot of result brought back. This equals result and momentum. Okay, the same amount of energy, but all put in one direction to solve one problem. Okay, so pull up those worksheets, guys. We're going to work in this direction here, and I've got a handful of worksheets for you. Before I do, I'm just going to go to the end here really quick because um, this call is not to sell anything. It's to give. But I also understand that one of the worst things I can do is leave you hanging if you really need help, if you really want to accelerate things. And so I started my group I've mentioned here on the call a few times called the Epic group. It's my Epic coaching group. I do have one-on-one clients. My one-on-one coaching is closed right now. Okay. But I do have my group coaching, which I still coach every single person in this group. It's right now about 40 people. It's an amazing group of people doing anywhere between about 300,000 to 12 million a year in revenue. Most are doing somewhere between 750,000 about 3 million a year in revenue. And my main aim is to help you build a business that you love, a business that doesn't trap you, a business that frees you, a business that works for you, that you don't work for it. And if you qualify revenue-wise, there is a income qualification because in Epic, my job isn't to get you from no deals to your first 10. Carrot, our podcast, our resources, that's all for there. I can give you some coaches to help you get to there. Epic is once you've got some consistency in your business, and that shows you've got a marketing machine that's working at some level. You've got some level of sales that's working. You know how to do the deals. The threshold is about that $300,000, $250,000, $300,000. Those are the people who can really help in this group to get you up over $1 million if you want to get there, increase your profits, increase your time off, increase your joy, make a business that you actually love. So scan the QR code or go to carrot.com/epic. Let's be transparent about pricing. It's $1,000 a month. I'm not going to say that is going to be that price forever. We are going to be doing some things where there's going to be the $1 million+ group and the $300,000 to $1 million likely, but we're not going to do that yet. But it's $1,000 a month. I do ask for a 12-month commitment, and I've got 3 spots that I'm going to be bringing in over the next 60 days, and that's it. And you have to be a great culture fit with me and with the group. So scan that if you're interested and apply. Let's back though to the planning resources, because for the past month, we've been going in detail with my Epic group on the planning. We've been going through this workbook together every Wednesday for the past month, doing the planning with people. And this is a brief overview. So the first thing I want you guys to do is your 6F's audit. Okay, this is that personal audit. Yeah, there should be. So it says it looks like a landing page. Grab my email address. Let me see really quick. So carrot.com/epic is to schedule a call. Okay. Yeah. So carrot.com/epic, it does get information. So it says ready to elevate your business to the next level. Gets your name, your phone, email, ask some basic questions. And then it says schedule your discovery call. So that's going to get a call with my team. So that's what it should say. So carrot.com/epic. Do that if the QR code's not working. Okay, maybe the QR code isn't working, but do carrot.com/epic if you're interested in that. Like I said, I've got 3 spots for the next 60 days, and I do ask for a 12-month commitment. We're going to drive transformation for you in 2026. and if you do qualify and apply and get in, we'll get your first call set up over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So you're jumping. That's going to be a one-on-one call with me. Okay, one-on-one call with me to get jump started. You get a quarterly one-on-one call with me. Every single week we have a training that I bring in my processes, my playbooks. We have monthly accountability calls. We have quarterly events. Every other quarter is an in-person event. Our next one's in Tempe, Arizona. We're going to be visiting Nick Perry's 8-figure wholesaling operation in his office while in Tempe and a whole bunch of other things. And then the other quarters in between are what I call mid-sessions, which is a virtual event. So 2 in-person events a year, 2 half-day virtuals, weekly tactical trainings and playbooks, monthly accountability, quarterly one-on-one calls with me. So, guys, the first thing you're gonna do is your 6Fs. Okay, spend 30 minutes, an hour doing this, and on a scale of 1 to 5, I want you to rate your score here. 1 being couldn't be any worse, 5 being couldn't be any better. Okay, and then I want you to circle the 1 or 2 that are the scores you want to improve the most this next year. But first, write some reflections. What are some bullet points? Reflect on these areas of your life. Okay, what went well, what didn't? Just put some notes in there. And then next, what are some areas that you want to improve, especially the 1 or 2 that have the circles, that have the lower scores that you want to improve in the next year? And write specifics. Okay, write like, let's say it's fitness. I want to improve. I want to hire a coach. Okay, hire a coach. I want to, drop 20 pounds. I want to work out daily. I want to run a marathon. Okay. I want to have energy every day. Write those things in there because those are going to become projects. There's going to become things that you do in the new year. Okay, guys? So spend 10, 15 minutes doing this, 30 minutes doing it this weekend. This can be the crux of everything. This is the very first thing I have my coaching clients do before we ever even touch the business stuff. Okay. That's going to give you guidance to say, where can this business support me? When we make these decisions, these need to go on the calendar because once again, the business is here to support you guys. And what we'll oftentimes do, it was mentioned earlier, we have entrepreneurial guilt where we go, great. Yeah. I want to get in better shape, but I've got no time to work out, man. I want to spend more time with family, but I don't have time to go do this. Right? We have all this guilt, but the question is, guys, if we don't bake them into the calendar now, when the heck are we ever going to do that thing? Bake them into the calendar now, remove the guilt, add the joy. You'll be more motivated to do the work because you're actually getting the reward right now. And you're going to be more energized to get the reward now instead of holding it off. And then you're going to be more excited to do the work. It's like we get in this vicious cycle that actually produces the opposite of what we want. But if you do the opposite of what you've been doing and you add joy back in, it creates the thing that you actually want: more energy, more excitement, more gratitude, more life, more energy, more excitement, more gratitude. Okay. And the results pop. So this is where it's going to start. I want you to place heavy priority on those one or two things that you're going to want to make the best. I want you to write down these three questions. I want you to write down these three questions, guys. Okay. These are three questions I asked myself. These are three questions I asked my coaching clients over this past month and a half. And I required them all to text me their answers. In the next 12 months, where do you want to grow? And I think this is perfect right after the life audit, right? In the next 12 months, where do you want to grow? What parts of your life do you want to grow the most? What parts of life do you guys want to grow the most? Pop in the comments box right now if there's any areas that you guys want to grow the most. Okay. Awesome. Jack says, I'm here because of Abel Contreras, epic coaching client. Okay, man. Abel's one of our newer clients, joined 60 days ago or so. I'm so pumped to work with him this next year. So where in the next 12 months do you guys want to grow? Okay, number two, what kind of man or woman do you want to be? This goes back to identity because our business is going to reflect our identity. And if we're moving forward with those false identities I mentioned before, your business is going to reflect that, which means it's going to reflect fear, ego, caring about what other people think, and anxious striving. Who wants to get rid of those things this next year? If that's the case, we've got to start with identity. We've got to say, who am I at my core? And if you're not sure, pray about it. Pray about it. Ask friends, ask people that you trust. Hey, what is it that I'm good at? When I'm at my best, what am I doing? How am I behaving? Who am I acting? Or if you're a believer, pray. Hey, Lord, reveal to me, what my true identity is. And if nothing's coming up, you've probably got a bunch of false identities that you're holding on to. We got to identify those false identities first. Lord, hey, can you reveal to me the false identities I'm holding as true, and write down everything that comes up in your mind, deal with those, and then the real identity will reveal itself. Okay. Then number three, what do you want people to think when they see you coming? This is kind of an odd question because it sounds like a very ego-driven question. And my answer 10 years ago would have been a very ego-driven answer. Hey, Trevor's a successful business guy, all these accomplishments, That's probably what I wanted people to think, like elevating my status in their eyes. What I think today, and this is what really changed over the last 1 to 2 years, goes back to that root identity. It's like, I want people to when they see me coming, or when they see my name in an email, they see my name on a webinar, like, oh my gosh, that guy's so encouraging. Right? Like he's such an encouraging guy. Like I want to get around him because he uplifts me. He helps me to see a better version of myself. He serves, man. That guy just serves. That guy just serves. That's what I want people to think when they see me coming. I don't want them to think he's the guy with the big house, the guy with all the rental properties, the guy with the big bank account. Guys, this year, one of the things I had to do to wrestle with identity around abundance and around me trusting my bank account over the Lord is I go, what's one of the biggest things you can do to not trust to remove that fear of money? You give it away. What's one of the biggest things that you do to remove those fears? You step into that full force and go, what if I release this? I wrote my single biggest donation check this year. Every year I donate well over 10% of my income. That's just something we've done every year. But I was looking at my life list on my website, trevormock.com/life list earlier in the year. And on there, I had put something in there that said I wanted to be able to donate over $1 million to causes that I'm passionate about. And when I put it, I'm like, that's a big number. That number is so big. And I was about 150 to $150,000 away from that number coming into this year. And because I stepped into operating my business out of abundance, operating my business differently, stepped into the operating out of my core identity out and not achievement as the root, and not trusting my bank account or my big house or no debt, or not trusting those things as the things that I'm trusting my life with. I go, you know what? I'm just going to trust in the Lord. I'm going to write the biggest check. And I ended up donating a house that we own. I've owned it for many, many years. It's got over $220,000 in equity in it. It was a hard donation because it hurt a little bit. I've done well financially, but $220,000 hurts when I cut that check or make that donation as well. And I did it so big because I needed it to hurt. I felt that I was still holding on to this thing in my identity. I was holding on to this thing in my identity, which was my worth is how much money or how much wealth I've got, and my protection, my security isn't that wealth. Wealth is a good thing if you use it for good. It's not a good thing if we hoard it for our own protection. So I just said, how can I use this for more good? How can I put this out there to serve? How can I just remove that hold that it's got on me? And I want you to challenge yourself there as well, because that is what is directly related to question number 3. What do you want people to think when they see you coming? It's not about money for me anymore, which it was for a period of my life. Money is strictly a tool. It's not a measuring stick. It's not for protection. It's not for your own safety or security. My dad died with, millions and millions and millions of dollars in equity and cash. That didn't save him. Wish it would have, but it didn't. So I want you guys to think about what really matters with this business. Okay. I do have a podcast you guys can tune into to really then design that life vision story. Go check it out. It's Entrepreneur Freedom Formula in any podcast tool that you use, or on YouTube, and go look up this one, Crafting Your Life Vision Story. Go find that one if you want to really learn how to then, once you've asked those 3 questions, then create a clear vision. Okay. But then once you've done that, that's some of the life stuff. I walk my coaching clients through some more of the life clarity things, but there's a couple. Then we start to have a little bit more clarity in what business do I need to build to support that. Once again, that's the only question. Business is only there for 3 things, y'all. Okay. To give you work that energizes and interests you, to fund your vision, and to make an impact that you're proud of. That's the only reason that they exist. If business is there for ego, for keeping up with the Joneses, to prove other people wrong, any of those things, guys, I can tell you, you're going to be marked with anxious striving, marked with a pit in your stomach, marked with there's never enough. Okay. Business is a game. It's a blessing. It's a tool. It's not the end result. So here now we're going to do a business audit. So scan this QR code. It should take you to the EOS business audit tool. It's free. I think they might make you opt into something, but I like taking it every year. It takes about half an hour, asks you some questions. It gives you a score. So I want you to write down your score here. Okay. Write down your lowest 2 scores here. Those are your opportunities on what to improve in your business this next year. And then I want you to write down a few projects that you might want to do this year. This is kind of basic brainstorming. What are some projects? Do you want to grow your leads? Great. I want to grow my leads. Awesome. What are some other business projects? Maybe you need to add an employee, but you don't know how to hire. Well, I need to learn to hire. I've got my high confidence hiring process. It's a 3-step process in my Epic program that gives you everything you need to know to hire successfully, onboard successfully, train, and make sure you're delegating successfully. So write these things down in here, y'all. That's going to be a little brainstorming thing. Then what we're going to do next is, once you've kind of brainstormed, I then want you to pull up this 3-year vision map. Okay. The 3-year vision map is basically a way to kind of stretch your vision out a little bit. Before we can get clear in 2026, we got to be a little bit more clear in this year, or on where we're going over the 3 years. So if you're clear where you want to go as a person and the type of person you want to be, I want you to pull back and ask the question, well, great. What does my business then need to do to support that? What a lot of us do is we start with some big number. I want to make $1 million a year, whatever that is. I want to make 10 million. And those aren't bad things. They're bad, once again, if that is the end goal and it's ego driven and it's proving other people wrong driven and it's that thing, that is bad then. Because I can tell you, you're going to hit that number. When I hit 100,000 a year, I thought clouds were going to part, the angels were going to sing. It didn't. I hit my first $100,000 month. I'm like, dude, maybe it's when it's the next level. Clouds were going to part, angels are going to sing. It didn't. I go, maybe it's $1 million a month. Clouds are going to part, angels are going to sing. It didn't. When I hit my first $1 million month, nothing changed. Okay. Maybe it's when I net $1 million a year. Nope, nothing changed. Okay, a little bit more money to spend on some things, but nothing inside changed. It didn't add to fulfillment. All it did was it in some cases outside of there's some nicer things that we can enjoy. I'm not saying money's bad. Money's a great blessing if we use it well. But if we tie our identity to it, that is where it's bad. If we tie our fulfillment to it, it's never going to end. There's always a bigger number. Okay. So I want you to look at this and say, what is that vision? How much is that vision going to cost? I've got a process in my Epic coaching group where we map out what that vision is going to cost, and then put a number to it, and put what your 2025 numbers are here. So let's put 2025. Okay, what is your revenue number? So I want you to put revenue and profit for 2025. What you're going to end the year with. So let's say you're going to end the year with 500K in revenue. Let's say 250K in profit. Okay, great. That's where you're starting. And then where I want you to start is over here at year 3. Okay, where do you want to grow? What do you want to do? And what I'll do sometimes is if you have multiple businesses, or let's say you have rentals, so maybe you might do this for rentals. You might do this for active income. Okay, so a line down the middle, you got rentals, active. So maybe over here you want to have passive cash flow within 3 years of 20K a month. Great. Maybe right now your rentals equals 0. So you're going to grow towards 20K a month. So you go, well, I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to go all the way back here to year 1 now. Okay, so 20K a month. This year, I just want to get going with it. I want to add my first 2K a month in cash flow. Okay. And then over here, I'm going to get really good at it. And I'm going to grow this. Rents are going to go up. I'm going to improve some of these properties. Going to get it to 10K a month. And I'll make some real growth to really shift towards 20K a month. Okay. So over here, what am I going to add? I'm going to acquire 2 rentals. That's my new thing I'm going to add this year. Okay. Let's say my active income, like I said, is 500K, 250K profit. Over here, I'm just going to put whatever. I'm going to put 50K here, gross revenue. This is rental profit. Let's say over here on the revenue, I want to have $1 million a year in gross. I want to profit 500K net. Okay. So I want to basically double my profit. Okay. I'm going to add rentals there, and I'm going to double my profit and my active income. That funds my vision. I'm good to go for a long time. So I'm going to go, great. So how am I going to, what am I going to do this year? I'm not going to double this year maybe, but let's say I'm going to go from 500K, let's say 500K to 700. Okay. And some of this is just kind of guessing a little bit. Like, what do you think you can do? Things like that. Let's say from, that's a 50% profit margin. Let's say my margin goes down a little bit and it's at 40%. I'm just going to use round numbers, guys. This isn't reality here. But let's say my number is going to go up to 300K. Great. How many deals is that going to be? Well, right now, let's say to get the 500K, my average profit per deal is 25K. So what is that? That's 20 deals. So I did 20 deals up here. So if I'm going to keep at 25K, how much do I got to get done? Well, that's just another, what is that? Is that 22? 22 deals. I just got to get 2 extra deals done. What the heck? That's wrong. That's wrong. So that is at the 500K. Anyway, write down the number of deals on down. Then once I get this done, guys, then I'm going to fill in the middle. Okay. If I'm going to go from 700K to $1 million, where do I want to be? Let's say it's 800K here. How many deals is it going to take? What's your profit? The whole thing. Now, what you may do is you may go, well, I want to increase my average profit per deal. I want to go from 25K to 30K. Great. Make that one of your initiatives. Improve average profit per deal. Okay. Bam. That's going to be something I'm going to improve. Then I'm going to go do some brainstorming and figure out how I'm going to do that. Okay. So I definitely want you filling in your 1 new idea and 2 improved ideas for 2026. And then if you have any things you know for sure that you want to do in these future years, put them in, but don't feel the pressure to fill those in much. Okay. You might go, well, I definitely know that I want to go into multifamily in this year or whatever. So once you have this mapped out, you don't have to have all these mapped out. You should have all 3 of these mapped out. And ideally, you should have all these numbers mapped out. Then you're good to go. And that is your 3-year vision map. Print that out, put that on the wall. As you pull into 2027, you're going to update it and get this fleshed out and a little bit more of that. This is your living, breathing doc. Now we're going to take this that we just did, and we're going to move this down into the macro planner. You can see it's a similar format. Okay, rather than years now, it's quarters though. And so similar format. So if I want to make 700K this year, so I'm going to go 700K is my total number, and I'm going to go 300K profit. Okay. So basically, I then determine how am I going to do that? Well, what's my revenue going to be each quarter? So what was my revenue in Q4? Let's say my revenue in Q4 was 125,000. I might need to do a little bit more in Q1, but I can't do a ton more because I need to get some things figured out. So let's say it's 150. Okay. What's it going to look like as you grow? Put some guesses down. How many deals do you need to get done each quarter? What is that profit going to be? Okay. And then what are some projects you need to do? If you're going to grow the business, there's likely going to be some improvements or some new things you need to add. Are you going to improve your PPC? Are you going to improve your website, move over to Carrot and get better conversion? Are you going to get mentioned in AI search now and squeeze out a few more deals? Take our AI challenge, carrot.com/challenge. It starts in a few weeks. Our January AI search visibility challenge is $27, guys, or $99 for VIP. Go join that challenge. No brainer. Everybody needs to be mentioned and more visible in AI search in 2026. So write down some basics of what some projects might be. Same thing. Definitely get all 3 laid out there and put in what you're able to know. But as you get into each quarter, then you're going to fill out that next quarter. Guys, this is your darn plan. Print this off, put it on the wall. And then I do have another tool in my Epic group that then is a project planner. So you're going to take it and go, hey, now let me go plan each project. But you can do that in whatever tool you want to use. Here's your 3 projects. Put them in a document. Put them up there and go use something to get online with those projects. Like I said, I've got tools in Epic that we can do it. But finally, once we do that stuff, and I blew through it, and I'd be happy to help you guys in our Facebook group or DM me on Instagram, we can intentionally focus on what gives us energy and fulfillment. Okay. I've got a worksheet here for you that you can do as well to start to put down some of those non-negotiables in your identity statement. Like I mentioned before, just one sentence. Who is it that you are? I read mine for 2025 to you. I've got one that I'm working up. It's a slight adjustment for 2026. Not much of an adjustment, just a slight for 2026. That's going to go in here for me, and it's going to go on my that note that I've got. I want you to have 3 to 5 daily non-negotiables. These are the daily things you do that if you only did these things, that day would be pretty darn good. And those things move you towards being the person that you want to step into. They move you towards success. I showed you my 5 daily non-negotiables. Those are staying the same for 2026. They're not changing because my identity is not changing. And those help you step into being that person. Okay. And then this tool is something I do every quarter. It's an energy audit. You can go on to YouTube or go to carrot.com/energy. And I have an entire training on how I use this every quarter for myself and with my clients. But this helps you pull off the things that drain your energy and give you things that give energy. I've got this worksheet then that I'll do on the quarterly next. Once I figure out what drains my energy, then I go, great. Now I need to figure out not just the things that drain my energy and give me energy, but things that make money. And I want to take the things that drain my energy and don't make money, and I want to delegate those immediately. Those are the first things I'm going to delegate in January and February. Okay. Then I want to take the things that do make me money, acquisition, sales, this webinar, right? And don't give me energy. This webinar does give me energy. And I want to then figure out how to replace myself in that in Q1. Is it going to be an AI tool? Do I need to make a hire? Do I need to delegate that thing? We help you do that. That's one of the most challenging things from 300K to $1 million is nailing this part here. And we can help you with that in the Epic program. And then you need to replace it. Once that's gone and you've delegated these things, you have more time. You need to replace it with things that give you energy and make money. That's your energy work. That's the stuff that you love, that fires you up. That's what gets you up over $1 million and it keeps you there. So once again, guys, I blew through that. I have YouTube videos that go through all this stuff. But I'm going to wrap it up with this, and then we'll bring this home. We'll answer some questions. One of the things I love to do the most that loops it all the way back to what I had talked about with adding joy back in is if you didn't do the energy audit, if you didn't do the drip matrix, if you didn't do the 3-year thing, and you just had some basics for the 1 year, The only other thing I'd want you to do is this and the 6Fs. If I was like, what are the 3 things that you would need to do? 6Fs, at least the 1-year planner thing. It's hard to get there though without the 3-year, but the 6Fs, the 1-year, and this. Okay, if all you did were the 3, it would be these. Why is this? This is where you intentionally add life into your calendar. And I add it to my pre-loaded, my pre-stacked year. Okay. We just did this training with my Epic coaching clients. They get this worksheet. And you start to go through with your spouse or just yourself, and you map out what that year is going to look like. You plan in family events, you plan in personal travel, you plan in business event travel, you plan in your kids or family or friends activities, you plan in your holidays, you plan in your personal growth. You get it on the calendar before the year starts or shortly after the year starts. And you lock it in to make sure the joy and the good stuff happens so it doesn't get choked out by the busy. But what I want you to do, guys, is at the very least, I want you to pick a mini adventure every 60 days. Okay. Every 60 days at minimum, put something on your calendar right now that gets you out and doing something that you wouldn't normally have done that gives you energy and joy. Okay. It could be a waterfall hike that you weren't going to do because it was going to be busy, but I'm going to put it on the calendar and it's going to happen on a Friday afternoon. It could be going out and shooting because it's a hobby and you're going to message your buddy right now and you're going to commit to it and say, hey, dude, on January 14th or this date, let's go shooting. Let's go make this happen. It might be a class that you're going to go take at the local community college, a cooking class. Whatever it is, I don't care what it is. A mini adventure, something that you love to do that's planned on your calendar ahead of time so you can't say no to it. It happens. You buy the ticket, you arrange the time, you arrange the plan, and get it on the calendar today. At least every 60 days, you go on a mini adventure. What are your 2 mini adventures going to be in Q1? What are your 2 mini adventures going to be in Q1? If all 2026 is about, guys, is making more money, I want no part of that. I want no part of that. That's an empty endeavor. If you made money to buy your time back so you could do more things that give you more joy, I want every part of that, because that's where you're going to be able to put your entire self out there, grab life by the horns, be the beacon of light for other people around you. You're not going to be the beacon of light, grinding away behind a computer, saying that you're going to pull up out of that once the grind is done. No, guys, you're not going to pull up out of it until you hit rock bottom, or you make a decision right now that that's not the way you guys want to operate. So I want you guys to pop in the comments box. We're going to bring this to an end. What is one thing that you're going to do over the next 60 days that's going to be a mini adventure that you'd be pumped to go do? Something that that wasn't going to be on your calendar before today. Something that you're like, man, I've been putting this off for a while and I just keep on saying I'm too busy. Well, you're always going to be too busy if you just think about it that day or that week. But if you plan it for February right now and it's important to you, you will make it work. You'll make it happen. Okay. On Monday next week, I'm going to be bringing my pre-stacked year worksheet that my wife and I have completed to my assistant, Susan. And inside the Epic program, we help you guys get assistants. We help you train those assistants, the whole thing. We help that assistant take over tons of things for you and be a true strategic partner for you. But right here, guys, I'm going to give this to Susan, my assistant. We're going to sit down next week and we're going to fully map out and stack the actual Google Calendar. And that is gospel. That's what happens now. The quarterly date retreats with my wife, the Tuesday morning date mornings, the Thursday morning sauna and cold plunge with my buddies, the Wednesday morning Bible studies, the couple business trips I've got planned, the Epic event in Tempe, Arizona in April, the Epic event in Oregon in September, the trip to Italy, hopefully this summer, the lamb shows for my son, the birthdays, the trip to the Oregon coast with my mom and my brothers. Those are all going on there. The big challenge, the physical challenge I want to get done, that's going to go on the calendar. It's all going on the calendar. All right, guys, let me know what you want to get done in the next 60 days. That would be a cool mini adventure. Okay. And then I'm gonna move this puppy to an end. Let's read some of these here, guys. Okay. Linda says, I'm gonna go visit a friend who I haven't seen in 5 years. Heck yeah, Linda. Yes, go do that. A trip to Memphis and Graceland. Tony, dude, I want to see you post some pictures of that. I want to see you tag me to it. Okay, tag me to it on social. Paul says, remind me what Masogi stands for. So Masogi, I've got an entire training for this with my coaching clients, and I think I have a YouTube video on my YouTube channel as well. But Masogi is essentially it's an Americanized version of this ancient Japanese ritual that they would go away and have a year-defining challenge that year that's insanely hard. It's something that takes mental toughness, physical fortitude, but it's something that you may actually fail in doing. Like, it's got to be that hard. It's a year-defining thing that you're choosing to do. I'll give you an example. So last year, going into 2020, I could not swim a lick. Like, literally couldn't swim the length of a pool. My Masogi that year was to be able to swim 5 lengths of the pool back and forth. I did it. It wasn't pretty, but I did it. I live on the river, and I see people swimming out in front of our house quite often because it's a really slow part of the river. And for years, I've been like, if someone falls in the river, like one of my kids, especially when they were young, or one of their friends, I wouldn't have been able to save them. Like, that was eating me up. I live on the river. We have a swimming pool. Now it's a real swimming pool, like an in-ground pool that's got a deep end. If someone fell in, I couldn't save them. And so last year, my Masogi was to swim across that river and back. So I trained for it. I got a coach. That coach helped me. It didn't look pretty. I thought I was going to die once because the water was cold. I had a wetsuit on. The water was way cold. It's like 50-something degrees. But I made it there and back with my coach and a buddy supporting me. And that's the power of coaches and support. That was my Masogi that year. It was year defining. I'm going to remember that thing that I did forever. Okay. So I showed you guys year in review, my 3 biggest lessons: find the constraint, focus on your core identity, not the fake one, and then add leverage. And then we added that last one, which is getting your mind back with eliminating the vice. And then we got you started with a clear plan. I give you a few of those simpler worksheets, the 6 F's. That's a non-negotiable. Go get that done. Okay. Get those things on your calendar that you want to change and transform. Then you've got your 3-year planner, your 1-year planner, and then you've got your 90-day ROE, return on experience worksheet. Map out those challenges you want to take on and those mini adventures that you want to take on. Okay. So if any of you guys are hitting that pain line, like I mentioned before, and you're wanting to grow through it to build the business of your dreams, you're not wanting the business to run you, but you want to own it. You want to not be owned by your business, but you want to have the business free you. You want to have a business that doesn't drag you down and give you anxious striving all the time and fear, like has marked parts of my career. And I've learned how to recognize what got me in it and recognize what gets me out and codify it and get it in front of people. Like I mentioned before, this has become just one of my greatest joys the last 2 years since I started this program. I started it because I needed it, because I needed to get my creative outlet out again, to do things that gave me more energy, to get codified how I think, so I can put it out for our clients, but also for my team, so we can really build towards the future. And this has become something that is one of my favorite things I get to do in work. Okay. I'm there coaching you. This is a shot from one of our live events. I think this was in Louisville, Kentucky. I took everyone to the Churchill Downs. We'll watch horse races at Churchill Downs. I introduced them to the top 3 biggest home buyers in all Louisville, Kentucky. We ate lunch with them. They were hanging out with us. And I do that at every one of our events. I'm going to introduce you to the biggest home buyers, the biggest investors, the biggest HVAC, the biggest home services and people in that market. We're going to literally go do site visits on site in their businesses to see how their business operates, talk with them. We're going to go do amazing activities that you would never really get to do. Watch horse racing at Churchill Downs, go behind the scenes at the Grand Ole Opry, go shooting with an Army sniper who was in Dancing with the Stars and had a movie made about him with Clint Eastwood. We did that at the last one here in Roseburg. We're going to go fly fishing on the river where I live. All these things are things I want to give experiences for you guys. I want to help transform you and give you the tools and the confidence to be able to grow. Like I said, it is $1,000 a month. It's way cheaper than other programs that our clients are telling us are way lower value. I'm not in it for making $2 million a year in this right now. I'm in it for being able to grow myself, be able to coach amazing people. And this gives me an opportunity to have those reps. Because I'm capping the program right around the 40 for this season. There's the 3 spots that are going to be open. Once those are closed, then I'll kind of reevaluate to see when I want to open up some more. But I'm looking for 3 great people. They're doing between $300,000 and $12 million a year, who want to grow a better business on less of their time with more intention, more purpose, so they can go make the impact that they want to make and have the freedom they want to make. So go check it out, guys. If that QR code doesn't get you there, go to carrot.com/epic, fill out the form. And what I want to see you guys do, here's where we are today. And you have 3 choices, y'all. You have three choices. One is you can keep doing what you're already doing, and very likely in December 2026, get the result that you have already gotten. And I want you to ask yourself, are you okay with that? Are you okay with in 12 months from now looking back going, man, I did a lot of things. I got a lot of busy. I didn't really progress in anywhere that matters in my life. I've been there before. I think you've probably been there too. Do you want to be there? Pop in the comments box if you want to be there. If not, if you don't want to be in the same spot, then there's only two other options. So let's eliminate that option if that's not an option for you. There's only two other options. Option one, which is an option that we inadvertently choose, is we slip backwards. Option one is we just do nothing, or even worse, we sabotage. We drift off. We don't eliminate the vice. We choose not to eliminate the vice. We choose to keep stepping into the vice. We choose to amplify the vice. We choose to worship the vice. We choose to drift off and have our confidence be hit more and more and more and more until we slip backwards more and more and more and more until we're stuck with either we have to go because we've hit rock bottom, or you're in despair. And I don't want you guys to be there. So if that's not an option for you, I want you to cross that out. And that makes only one option for you, which is rising upward, which is new potential. And then you have to ask the question, well, how am I going to do this? In the only ways I've been able to do it over the years is, number one, like I said, we got to eliminate the vice, got to step up into figuring out where do I want to go, and dreaming again. We got to dream again. Okay. Sometimes the coach can help you dream again. Sometimes, the coach can help you get rid of the things that are preventing you from dreaming again. But number two, guys, you need to really have a mentor. And if it's not me, amazing. There's a million amazing mentors out there. But ever since 2010, I've had a coach or a mentor. Okay. It's changed during the season of what I really wanted to do that time. And then ever since 2012, I've been in a mastermind. Okay. So you need to have a peer group, because when things get hard, not if they get hard, when they get hard, you need to be able to step into that mentor and into that peer group. What our first reaction is oftentimes, guys, and I've done it as well, is when things get hard, we retreat. When things get hard, we retreat. We stop reaching out to people. We stop asking for help. We put our head down. We say, I'm just going to grind through this, because we're ashamed. We're embarrassed of where we are. We don't want to tell people where we are. That's one of the first things that we have to do, though, is we have to step into people with similar values, similar ethics and morals, that love you and want to see you succeed, that draw those challenges out of you, that you feel comfortable telling those challenges to, because the only way through those challenges is by talking about them and getting a perspective from someone from the outside that they can see how to get through it because they've been through it, but you can't see it because you're in the weeds. Okay, guys. So number one, get rid of the vice so you can dream again. Number two, get around a mentor who's 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of you, who can pull you through and accelerate it and raise your confidence, raise your skills, point you in the direction to help you do things that you weren't able to do. And then number three, get around a peer group. With this industry, guys, your average profit per deals are between 10K and 25K. And the crazy thing is this, is before I joined my first group, my first mastermind, the first one was in 2012. It was a $19,000 check that I wrote to a guy named Greg Clement. Only year he ever did the mastermind, it changed my life. I wrote a $19,000 check. Okay. That $19,000 was hard for me to write because it wasn't like I was making $1 million a year. Okay. 2012, I was going through some major challenges. I was right before a major transformation. I was making a $150,000 a year max, but my income actually went way down because I got rid of my business that was making all my income. I was not in the financial position where that was just an easy check. Okay. So I did that. And that 1 year, the third meeting that we had, changed my perspective on everything. That led into what became Carrot. Carrot started during that mastermind. That led into my first million, my first 10 million. And ever since then, with Carrot and my other companies, I've generated over $50 million in revenue because of that one decision. A decision to say, I can't go this alone anymore. A decision to say, I don't know everything. And that one decision turned into many multiples. Now, in this industry, if your average profit per deal is 25K, and my one-on-one coaching is 80K, which that's full. I don't have a one-on-one coaching, but my group coaching, where I do still get on one-on-one with you once a quarter, guys, is just 12K a year. So it's like half of a deal. If I were only able to help you get half of an extra deal this next 12 months, you broke even. If I were only able to help you save 10 hours a week of time, times your hourly value, you broke even. right, guys? It's like, it's such an insane investment. And this is probably the only year, the final year where my coaching is going to be at this rate. So let you guys know, got 3 spots there. Not going to force you on it, but I'd be honored if there were any who it was a fit. This is a text message I got from a guy named Marco, just literally a week or two ago. Not a week or two ago. This came in the day after Christmas. He said, I ended the year on my best month ever in business, $180,000 closed. But more importantly, with family and my 2 healthy sons, and closer than ever with God. A phenomenal year, and couldn't be more grateful for your love and mentorship. Marco started the year in debt. He started the year with major lack of momentum in his business. Marco started the year hating his company, wanted out of it. We made some major changes. He got his love for his company back, his profits back, and he had his best month ever. And it didn't sacrifice his family, his time with God, or his fitness. Guys, that's what this is about. The Epic program, I have a saying in it called belt buckles and bank accounts. Belt buckles don't go up, bank accounts don't go down. And that's one of the aims with this. So if you qualify, let's say $250,000 a year already in your real estate business, and you want to be able to accelerate things through, amazing, connect with me, y'all. Okay. So I've got a few more minutes, guys. I went way over time. Hopefully you guys got value. But what I'd love to see is pop in the comments box what your biggest takeaway, was from today. Okay, you guys have been amazing troopers. Braden's probably back here falling asleep because I'm going an hour over time. But what is your guys' greatest takeaway from this call? There's a bunch of people saying what their adventure is going to be, a bunch of trips. I love it. I go to the Sugar Bowl. I always wanted to take a Sugar Bowl cruise. Heck yeah, there we do it then. Get on the books. Wanted to take a trip to the Holy Land. Heck yeah. Figure out if that's a 2026 thing. Get it on the calendar. You guys, put it in the comments box right now. Your number one takeaway. What's the one thing out of all these things that hit you the most that you want to take away, whether it's a mindset or one of these processes? But what's the one thing that you guys want to take away? Clayton says, need to get back to adding things I enjoy in regular adventures. Dude, here's the thing, Clayton. If we don't do it, we're not going to do it when we have more money, because we're just going to continue that same work pattern. So we need to have healthy work patterns now. So we're more energized and excited to do the work because we're getting rewarded today for it. Okay. And that was the major thing that I had to realize over the years, like, oh my gosh, I keep on moving the timeline and moving the goals out. Well, when this happens, then I'll finally add those things back in. It never happens. So we have to pull back and say, well, I've got enough resources now to go have a date morning, have a date night, have a date, whatever. And then just experiment with it. Test it out a little bit. Get the mini adventures idea is fantastic. Sharing it with my family members. Heck yeah, every 60 days a mini adventure. If you think about that, going back to that slide I shared where it showed all the months of a 90-year-old life. If you look at every other one of those from the time that you are right now till the time that you pass, if every other one of those dots is a new mini adventure, let's say over the 20 years, every other month, that's 6 months times 20, whatever 20 times 6 is, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. That's 120 additional core memories in life. It's 120 additional memories, perfect moments, memory dividends, whatever you want to call them. 120 additional memories, y'all. That is crazy cool just by making a quick decision, right? Tony says, my wife was also on this year and we have so much to discuss. We came in with some goals, decided, and now you have paused it and gave us structure. Heck yeah. Or plussed it and gave us structure. Heck yeah. My money can never be my mind. Nope. My money was the why for years, guys. If you're doing your planning and you put that dollar amount up there and the only reason for that dollar amount is because it's more than last year, I can tell you that is going to lead to a business you despise, lead to a business that owns you, lead to a business where you are a slave to the number, and that is not going to give you joy. Okay, guys, business is not about that. Remove ego from business. I had it for too many years. Remove comparison from business. It's hard. I still slip into it. Remove those things. It's for those 3 reasons I talked about before. Business should give you work and the interest and energizes you on the daily basis. You should enjoy your work. Okay. We only have one life to live. Why not enjoy the work that we get to do? Okay. Number 2, it should fund your vision, meaning we should have some sort of clarity in what we want out of life, and we should have some sort of clarity in what it's going to cost. The business should fund it. It shouldn't overfund it by double. That's fear. That's fear kicking in. That's people. If we're not growing, we're dying. Maybe you're trying to grow in the wrong spot. Maybe growing top line is not where you should grow, but you should actually grow in your faith. You should actually grow in your family relationships. Maybe you should actually grow in your bottom line, not your top line this year, right? Amazing. Let's see. Your faith lens really resonates with us. Amazing. I love it, man. So guys, here's where we're going to wrap. Follow me on Instagram. One of my things I want to do better at this year, I amped it up in 2025, but I want to make it better in 2026 is the behind the scenes content I put out. I want to do it better in 2026. So follow me on Instagram, trevor.mock. Listen to my podcast, not new now, been out for a year or two, but Entrepreneur Freedom Formula. If you like this type of stuff, this is what I talk about. I take some of the things I'm teaching in my Epic group and I teach them on the YouTube channel for everyone to access for free. So check it out. I'd encourage you to join our AI SEO challenge. Every single person on this call needs to be aware of and needs to get ahead of what is happening with Google search. Google search has already changed dramatically. It's going to change even more. If you are not ahead of knowing how Google and ChatGPT and Perplexity and those other tools actually look at your website, look at your business, and choose who to recommend, you're going to be behind within 6 months. But this gives you a chance to be 6 to 12 months ahead of your competition. We're already seeing people literally. I got a message from one of our guys who was on the second. Let me find it. Who was on the second AI search challenge? We've done 2 so far. Let me find this one here. He took the challenge. He had not gotten any AI leads up to that point, and he sent me this on December 17th. Oh no, this is on December 16th. He just sent me a screenshot of a carrot lead that came through his phone. And it shows right there, he's circling ChatGPT as the source. That was about 3 to 4 weeks after taking the challenge. He got his first seller lead through ChatGPT by making the changes. That alone, guys, if he closes that lead, $10, $20, $30,000, it's a $27 investment, a 3-day challenge we're going to be doing in January. Or you can do $99 for VIP, which gets you the recordings, a 4th day live VIP day with me, the whole thing. But guys, hit me with any questions. I'd be happy to answer any questions here in the next 10, 15 minutes. And then I got to get home because we've got friends coming in. One of our things we love to do is our college friends. There's 4 of us couples. We go on trips together. Our families have grown together. And they're coming down to our house this year for New Year's with the new pool and the deck and all that stuff. So I got to get home and turn on the new flat top grill that's installed in there and learn how to use it and season it, because we're doing some smash burgers here in about 5 hours. But yes, Steph, trusting completely in God first. That was one of my biggest things as well. But any questions I can help you guys with, hit me up. I'm going to go through and see if there's any things in here. And anybody that wants to apply and transform 2026, carrot.com/epic. I've got 3 spots available. And I'm going to go actually look and see, make sure people are able to put that in there. Ooh, there's my wife right there. I better get going. I better get going. Okay. Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, guys, blow up the chat box. I'm honored to work with you guys. Honored to have this time with y'all. Apply for Epic if that's in the cards for you. If it is, amazing. If not, go follow my free stuff. My free stuff is going to help unlock so many of you as well. And awesome, guys. I'm seeing some people applying there as well. So what we're going to do, it's probably going to be Pete on my team who's going to be hopping on a call with you after the new year, probably Monday, Tuesday next week, maybe Friday. Pete literally works 15 feet from me. It's either going to be him or Brent. He's here in the office as well. And they're just going to hop on with you, learn about you, make sure you're a good culture fit, answer any questions you've got. You already know the price, and go. And like I said, my aim is if I'm not helping you 10x what you invest in the program this next year, I don't deserve the money. That's my aim, is helping you 10x. I want to help you save 10 hours a week in your time. I want to help you 10x the investment on your bottom line or your top line. All right, guys. Amazing. Well, guys, thank you very much. I better get. Have an amazing, amazing 2026. And I want to leave you with this. I want you to go back to this graphic here. And I want you to ask yourself, which one of these 3 paths are you going on, and what are you going to change? What decisions do you need to make to put on the calendar to make real, actually make that life, that business, that vision possible in 2026. And then where do you need help? Reach out for help for people around you. Reach out for help for people on Facebook that you know. Reach out for help from me. And we'd be absolutely honored to be able to help you out. All right, guys. Have an amazing rest of the day. Happy New Year tonight. And we will see you in 2026. All right, guys. We'll talk soon.